make sure to hop in the queue, okay? I'm just gonna close my eyes and envision my mother, my brother, my grandmother, my grandfather, my cousin, my aunt, my sister. Thank you for the galaxy. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do today, y'all. But once again, for everybody coming in, make sure that we are double tapping away on that phone screen and make sure that we're shouting out that live. And once again, thank you so much for the galaxy. You guys are so kind. But we're gonna go ahead and hop right into the debates without further ado. Y'all know the Brown rules. Only hop in the queue if you did vote for Trump and you think he'll be good for a country. But let's see what we got. We're going to go and load up our first guest of the night, Dirty Wrench. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody do give us a minute, y'all. What is going on? Dirty, do you think that Trump will destroy America?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, well, I do. I think he will. Also, I misspelled destroy. Look at that. Oh my god, that is terrible. I misspelled destroy, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing that we could do about it now, so we just got to own it. We just gotta own it. We just gotta own it, chat. We just gotta own it at this point. Canva doesn't have autocorrect. Fuck me, man. What's up, Eric? Do you think that, did you vote for Trump? Do you think he'll be good for America?
I did not vote for Trump, but I don't believe he will destroy America.
Who did you vote for?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Okay. Well, I'm looking to debate Trump supporters, but the reason I think he'll destroy America has to do with his economic policy and a couple of things that he's already done. I do appreciate your position, though. So, guys, only hop in the queue if you did vote for Trump. Y'all, we are just looking to debate people that did vote for Trump. I do understand that I misspelled destroy in my background. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to gaslight everybody that tells us it's misspelled into telling them that it's correctly spelled, okay? What's up, Jen? Did you vote for Trump?
I can't vote. I'm a minor.
Okay, then get the fuck out of the live. Grace, thank you for the $1 on Venmo. Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to go over some ground rules. So if you didn't vote for Trump, I want you to be hanging out in the chat. I want you to be hanging out in the Discord. I want you to be hanging out anywhere but my guest requests. So for everybody tuning in here, please only hop in the queue if you voted for Trump. Quite frankly, that is the only people that we want to talk to. Okay, so we're going to go and load up our first guest of the night, y'all. So everybody just do give us a moment. And for real, Parker, W's, I know. Hey, what's going on? Did you vote for Trump?
I did, yes.
You did. And why so? Let's talk about it.
I voted for him mostly on foreign policy, not necessarily domestic policy.
Oh my God, he's bad. Foreign policy and domestic policy. But, the background says Trump will destroy America. I think he's going to predominantly destroy America with his domestic policy.
I'm not necessarily too...
Oscar, thank you for the $11 and the 11 cents on Venmo, saying destroy everybody today, Dean. Show some love to Oscar in the chat. And the reason I think he's going to destroy America...
Donald Trump based on the premise of him defunding Ukraine. That was basically my vote.
Okay, so you don't like money from the U.S. going to other countries?
No, specifically Ukraine.
Oh, okay, and why is that? Malin, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love, Malin. That is Malin. Everybody show some love to Malin in the chat.
I am a history major as well, so, people might call me, I guess, bigoted for not wanting necessarily Ukraine to... They put in a way that says that I don't want Ukraine to win, which isn't entirely true, but my vote was based off of I favor American isolationism. And so I think the tariffs are actually a good thing because I don't believe NATO or, any of these organizations around the world benefit.
Cheyenne, thank you so much for the $25 donation on PayPal. Let's go, Cheyenne. Let's get at least 300 W Cheyennes down below in the chat. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much, Cheyenne. So, first of all, about funding other countries, if you favor American isolationism, well, then you wouldn't just support defunding Ukraine, but you'd also support not sending any more money and weapons to Israel, right?
I do. In all honesty, I do. I just feel like, I feel like we shouldn't be spending money anywhere. We shouldn't be sending troops anywhere.
Okay. So Donald Trump wants to continue to fund Israel, giving them more money and more
right.
weapons.
But that, like I said, that was my priority. I just don't want necessarily Ukraine to win that war.
Okay, why?
Like I said, I feel like Putin has a rightful claim over Ukraine. If you go into the history of Ukraine.
Okay, we're just gonna kick the Russian bot out. I do apologize for that. If you think that Putin has the right to invade another country and kill their innocent civilians, we're just gonna kick you and move on. We don't want a Russian bot on the live. I'm good. You'll get my live taken down. Dude. Listen, I'm here to debate regular American citizens. I'm not here to debate people literally funded by the Kremlin to spread propaganda. What's up, Dave? Okay, Dave automatically left. For the 4.6 thousand people hanging out with us in here today, make sure that we are double tapping away on that that phone screen. We're going to go and get our next guest up in here. Make sure if you are in the chat, or sorry, if you are in the queue, make sure that you did vote for Trump. We're just looking for some debates. Dude, like Russian sympathizers are so crazy. And isn't it like nuts, chat, how the Republican platform has legitimately shifted to include Russian sympathizers? Like, that's just insane. I just, please, let's get some L's in the chat for that. What's going on? Did you vote for Trump? Ariel?
Yes.
How old are you? That's a kid. We don't even need to ask. Okay, we need to go over the ground rules of the live once more. So, in order to be in the guest requests, Sid, thank you for the money gun. You have to fulfill a handful of requirements, okay? You have to be at least 18, right? You have to have voted for Trump, and you have to support a Trump presidency, right? If you don't fulfill those 3 requirements, do not join into the guest requests. Just hang out in the chat, make some friends, hang out in the Discord, feel free to talk, right? But do not join the guest requests, right? I want to have confidence that whoever I click on in the guest requests is somebody that voted for Trump, all right, ladies and gentlemen? I want to have confidence in that. So spam MAGA in the chat if you do want to come up and debate. I'm going to go and grab someone from the chat literally right now, y'all. So everybody just do give us one moment here, guys. What's up, Mac? Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did. Sure did.
And why is that?
36 years old. As well, I think he's going to reform the country. He's not going to destroy it, he's going to reform it.
Okay. Yeah, so I think he's going to do things that will help destroy it, such as his economic policy. We need to talk about his tariffs. So we all knew going into the election that his flat 10 to 20% tariffs on all goods imported into our country would cause inflation and destroy American companies that are reliant on exports, but now we have even more reason to believe that. He's announced a 25% tariff on oil from Canada. Canada accounts for 70% of our oil imports. The price of gasoline will absorbently increase, and that is an undisputed fact. Psycho, thank you for the fest cheers. And then also the tariffs on the tariffs on Mexico. We've already had the Mexican president come out and say that if that happens, they're going to put tariffs back on us.
So yeah, Trump is king of negotiation. These are first moves of that negotiation. Of course, he can drop tariffs on specific products once he begins that negotiation process with these countries. Now, the actual theory of what's going on is he's trying to bring back manufacturing to America. America is incredibly innovative, and it has all the resources it needs.
So your claim is that he's actually not going to impose tariffs and he's just lying?
This is the first move of a negotiation. Of course, Trump is known for his negotiations.
I'm so sorry.
Part of the deal, for instance.
I'm so sorry. You're not smart. Like literally, if you're going to sit here and deny Trump's plan, saying that he's not actually going to impose tariffs on all imports, even though this has been a part of his agenda since he announced his bid for re-election, by just saying it's a tool of negotiation that won't ultimately be imposed, that's just a really stupid idea, right? I mean, at least you're making the recognition that tariffs are bad, right? And you can't defend them. So you just argue that it's not actually going to implement them.
I am defending them, actually. So he's trying to bring manufacturing back. He's trying to increase production. Now, that's the reason for putting the tariffs. He can, of course, negotiate. And it's like, oh, he's not going to do it. I'm so scared. He's not really, he's lying. This is what happened in the first administration. By the way, Biden kept many of those tariffs because it was good policy, right? So tariffs aren't necessarily bad. It is part of a trade war that he is initiating. In war, there are initial first moves, and then you go from there. I've watched the Canadian Prime Minister, for instance. They're fucking scared. This is a really strong position for America to be in. Actually, it's so exciting.
So tariffs are really bad, okay? And you're saying that they promote American manufacturing. They promote American manufacturing by making goods from other countries more expensive. I think that there's ways that we could promote American manufacturing without making goods from other countries more expensive, such as raw investment of capital in industries in America to boost their production. And we know this works. Biden and Harris did it with the Chips and Science Act and the infrastructure bill. Trump did it with the Farm Bill. Investing billions of dollars into producers in our country boosts their level of production and market dominance in our economy. And Charles, thank you for the $5 on Venmo, right? And when you say that the tariffs implemented under his first term were good policy, you're wrong. They were bad. And they were only on specific products from China, right? Because we increased tariffs on goods from China, they increased tariffs on us, and our U.S. agricultural exports fucking plummeted, American farmers went bankrupt, and Trump had to bail them out with $27 billion. Okay? And I understand that you're saying that Biden and Harris kept those tariffs, which you are correct about, but that doesn't mean that that makes it a good policy. That was one of the few bad decisions that the Biden and Harris administration made.
Well, Americans also voted in Trump just now on the strength of the Trump economy as well. I mean, that's been the whole talk of the town. I mean, of course, Democrats say that, oh, the economy was actually really strong under Biden, but actually it wasn't cultural issues. So people are saying it's the price of eggs, it's the price of all this kind of stuff. You could say that is from COVID. However, people do have rosy memories from the first Trump administration, which is actually a point.
Name one economic policy that Donald Trump
America
is running on that's good.
Well, I think what you're doing is speculating that Trump will destroy America. Of course, there is
Answer my
risk.
question. You said that that his economic policy is going to be good for our country. Name one of his good economic policies.
Tariffs, 100%. He's gonna fucking kill it. The economy's gonna rip.
Well,
I'm
Mac,
so excited.
with all due respect, right? I just spoke for about 45 seconds, disputing exactly why tariffs are bad, explaining to you a better, relevant alternative, and even giving you the historicity of tariffs under Trump's first admin and how they hurt our country.
Yeah,
And you
so
didn't
I can
respond to it.
paint
Well,
a
don't- stop
paint a
talking.
rosy picture.
Stop talking. So I gave you every single one of my reasons why tariffs are bad. You then responded by saying, well, something else that's really good is his economy. And then I ask you, what about his economic policy is good? And then you go right back to the tariffs. So
Right,
if you
yeah,
want to
so the
defend
tariffs,
tariffs, you're going to
my
have
initial
to.
argument
One
is
moment,
tariffs
stop
are not
talking.
bad.
Stop talking. If you're going to defend that position, you have to actually engage and respond to my points. So do you need me to repeat them?
No, so here's the argument.
No,
Tariffs are
I
good.
don't want your argument. I want your counter argument against the points that I mentioned.
It's a counter argument because you're arguing that tariffs are bad. I'm arguing that tariffs are good. So it's a counter argument.
Do you need me to repeat my reasons why I think tariffs are bad so you could dispute them individually?
No, I can proceed with my own argument as a counter argument to you. Is that okay, Dean?
No, that's not how it works because you already gave me your own argument why you think tariffs are good and I disputed
What's
your
that argument, Dean? Can you repeat to me my argument?
Yeah, you think that tariffs are good because they serve as a negotiation tool so we could get more of what we want from other countries and to inspire American manufacturing in our own country.
That's it,
Because
that's
we have
it.
more than sufficient resources to make it
Yes,
ourselves.
that's
and
it,
that's the
yes.
argument that I disputed.
Right. So we actually are super innovative. We have this set of tech right counter elites coming up. Elon Musk, Thiel, Vance Network. We're catching rockets over here on our side.
Buddy,
You guys aren't.
I disputed your argument. Do you need me to go back over the points so you could tell me why I'm wrong?
So
Or
you
should I-
said
should I-
if you
should I
have
just
20.
skip you tell me why I'm wrong?
So
Or
you
should I-
said
should I-
if you
should I
have
just skip?
25% increase, invest in manufacturing as is, and you can revitalize manufacturing. Okay, I think that's false because if you have a 25% sudden drop in competition, all these kind of initiatives that are proven to work while everything else is bloated and sad. That's what we want. We want a revitalization of America, make America great again. That is the thesis, Dean.
Yeah, but tariffs aren't going to do that, and I've explained to you why. There's relevant alternatives that don't create the same inefficiencies that they do. Tariffs cause the price of goods to go up, and they destroy American businesses. We could revitalize the American economy while still increasing production through investment of raw capital that doesn't produce the same inefficient outcomes. You are saying in order to restructure America, we first have to destroy it, right? Because at the end of the day, right, like companies in our own country that are reliant on exports will go underwater. It already happened with Trump's tariffs on China. He had to bail them out with $28 billion. It's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Right? And you're saying what's going to come after that is more money dumped into American manufacturing. There's better ways to do it, and I already gave them to you.
When you change the rules of the game, there are winners, there are losers, no doubt. There will be losers, but there will be winners, and the opportunities are going to be crazy. It's going to be such a gold mine.
You're not even.
Economy's going to rip.
Man, with all due respect, you're not actually responding to my points. You're just reiterating your same point, and it's really annoying.
What do you mean? What do you mean? When a game is changed, this is a reform candidate, there will be losers. Just because there's losers doesn't mean there won't be winners. There will be huge opportunity.
This statement, there will be losers and winners, doesn't critique my point that we can make more winners with a relevant alternative to tariffs, such as raw investment, compared to tariffs.
Well, let me give you an example of how the game.
Cheyenne, thank you for the. No, you're not. Okay, I'm just going to kick you because you're not disputing the point. You're just giving me your own points. Cheyenne, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love, Cheyenne. Everybody, please show some love to Cheyenne down below in the chat. Holy shit, that was so annoying. That was so annoying. I tried to run the point by him like 10 billion times. Oh my god. Okay, whatever. By the way, y'all are spamming that he was following teen girls in the comment section. It certainly looks like that. I was trying to look through it while I was talking to him, but I'm bad at multitasking, and that's just another reason why we just decided to kick him. Hey, what's up? Sash, did you vote for Trump?
No, I didn't. I accidentally,
No worries, Sash. Make sure if we are in the queue that you did vote for Trump. Go ahead and spam MAGA down below in that chat if you do want to come up and debate, y'all. Make sure to share out this live with a couple friends. Make sure to double tap away on that phone screen. We're at the moment just trying to get the live to push out a little bit more than it is right now. Hey, what's going on, Comfy? Did you vote for Trump? All right, Comfy's not here. We're going to go to move on. All right, let's go and see what our next guest, Gracie, has to say. Everybody just do give us a moment. A restart maybe in order. I guess we'll see. I really want the live to push out today. Like, really badly. Hey,
Excuse me, hello?
Hey, how are you?
I'm 14, but I have a question.
No. Moving on to our next guest. Everybody just do give us a minute. You guys, please just follow the rules of the live. If you don't follow the rules of the live when you know them, it just kind of like upsets me a little bit. So, what's going on? How do you? All right, they automatically left. If you restart, please fix the background. You got it. You got it. I will. Dude, our push out was great, and then it just stopped. That's so annoying. Hey, what's going on? How do you? Hello, Spencer? Like, I don't know why people like Spencer are joining the queue. It's all right. Guys, please, if you are in the queue, make sure that you are present, conscious, and willing and ready to debate, and make sure that you voted for Trump. Hey, what's up, Leo? Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Chelsea, did you vote for Trump?
Yes.
All right, Leo, hop back in the queue. I'm going to go ahead and talk to Chelsea. So, Chelsea, why did you vote for Trump?
I don't think it really made much of a difference because I live in New York, but I'd say I was pretty influenced by my dad. So I just wanted to ask you, like, when you say he'll destroy America, do you, like, how far do you think, like, he would go with that? Like, how far?
There's a couple of reasons why I say Trump will destroy America. Sid, I appreciate you for the hang lights. First, his economic policy is detrimental, right, to members of the low and the middle class. It will absolutely disintegrate the low and the middle and the low class with his tariffs, right? Secondly, his social policy is detrimental, such as his stance on abortion. Because Kamala Harris didn't get elected and she won't be able to reinstitute Roe v. Wade, 22 women a day will continue to be denied access to abortion that got pregnant as a result of grape. Okay, right?
Yeah.
And then the emboldening of social focus in America, such as misogyny, racism, sexism, will also be detrimental to already marginalized communities in our country, right? Because people will feel more empowered, right? Because it is more socially acceptable. Rape culture will go to a whole new level because we are emboldening a rapist into the Oval Office, making it seem more permissible for men to grape women and decreasing the likelihood that women will report grape at all. And there's just a handful of reasons why I say that Trump will destroy America.
Right. So a lot of that, you're talking like a whole lot socially. And I agree on all that.
Okay, Chelsea. So do you have any like argument here?
Yes, I did have a point to bring up. I didn't vote for Trump. I'm so sorry about that. But my dad did bring.
I appreciate you for coming up, Chelsea. It looks like we need to go over the ground rules of the live once again, ladies and gentlemen. So for the 6.1 thousand people hanging out with us in here today, make sure that we're double tapping away in that phone screen. We're going to go ahead and go over the ground rules of the stream because it seems like we need them. So please only hop in the queue if you voted for Trump. Okay, guys? We are only looking to talk to people that voted for Trump. That is the ground rule of the live. All right, y'all? All right, I just want to have confidence that whoever I click on in my queue is a Trump supporter. Like, for instance, someone that I see in my queue right now, okay? I see someone named Ben Graff 28. I just want to be confident without questioning it in my mind that when Ben Graff 28 loads up in here, he's going to tell me that he voted for Trump, okay? So, Ben, did you vote for Trump?
Huh?
Hi, did you vote for Trump? Like I don't know. Like what the fuck are we doing? What the goddamn hell are we doing? Ben, why the hell were you in the guest request? We all hate you. No one likes you here. Follow the rules, and then we will all love you again. How about that? That's right. Okay, we need to stigmatize people hopping in the queue that are not following the rules of the live. Okay, we need to stigmatize it, ladies and gentlemen. So let's all stigmatize it together. Okay, that's right. But, you know, if you follow the rules, we love you. You're part of the gang, part of the Dean Team Dream Team. Okay, that's right. So we're going to move on to our next guest. We just need to promote social attitudes in the live to stigmatize people from joining in the queue that aren't supposed to be here. So we're going to move on to our next guest, Harry, at this point. Keep in mind, if you are in the queue, make sure that you voted for Trump. Super duper simple. And if you do want to support me, my Venmo and my PayPal are in my bio. I love you guys. What's up, Harry? How old are you?
I'm 15.
You see what I mean? Like, Harry, we don't like you. Like,
why not?
Because you're breaking the rules, okay?
I'm not breaking rules.
You're breaking so many rules. Not only are you under the age of 18, but you're obviously like from Britain. Okay, I can't go off on my regular spiel. We all remember what happened last time. What happened last time, chat, when a British person came up here and Dean got a little carried away. We actually got we got fucked for it. We got in a lot of trouble. We got in a lot of trouble for that. Hello, Johnny. Hi. Did you vote for Trump?
I'ma show aggression. Slide on your block like Danny Glover.
All right, moving on to our next guest. Everybody just give us a minute. We got Rooney Howard loading up into the live. We have 8,000 people in here. Do double tap on that phone screen. Hit that follow button. What's up, Rooney? Did you vote for Trump?
I did.
You did! And why did you make such a terrible decision?
Well, you say like he's going to destroy America. Like I don't think he destroyed America 2016 to 2020, and you think he did a pretty good job. I think he'll do a good job again.
Okay. What was one good policy that he passed during his first 4 years that you really liked?
He got the 2 Supreme Court justices to help overturn Roe v. Wade.
Okay. Well, I mean, first of all, that's not going to be a policy. And second of all, that's actually one of the things during his first term that he did that helped and aided and abetted into the destruction of our country. Overturning Roe v. Wade, rescinding that power back down to the state level, has now led with 22 rape victims per day being denied access to abortion, and 1 out of every 3 women in our country not having elective access to the bare necessities of healthcare either. Okay? It is instrumental to the fabric of America, not only to hold up basic human rights, but also personal liberties to ensure that all American women and girls have access to abortion.
Well, raped abortion is not banned yet.
It is in 10 states.
It is?
Yeah. It went back down to the state level. 10 states have total bans.
Donald Trump did say he doesn't agree with. He thinks abortion's okay if someone was raped.
It's impact over intention. Like all that I care about is what he implemented and what he caused, right? And what he caused was states having the ability to ban it, and 10 states have, and 22 rape victims per day are denied access. That is 65,000 women in the last 3 years. 22,000 women a year.
I still one. You can still leave states if you really need to, but
okay,
I still don't think
that doesn't change a thing. A lot of women don't have the resources to leave states. They can't just call off work. They can't just have someone babysit their children. They can't just rely on savings to either hop in a plane or put gas in the car and quit working to go and get healthcare. In some positions, they're not even in a place where they can. All right, but even regardless of that, all women deserve access where they are. We shouldn't have to rely on them getting like time off to hop in their car, hop in a plane, and go to a state 500 miles away to get that service. Or and the fact that you'd make that argument is just really insane. Like for instance, how do you feel if a Confederate made the argument during the times of the Civil War that if a black person didn't want to be enslaved in the American South, that they could have just moved to the American North?
Yeah, no, I don't think that if you're raped, that's like, I'm pretty sure you can get access to abortion. Like, I feel like you're lying about that.
Okay, well, I mean, dude, Google's free. Like, I mean, if you're gonna accuse me of lying
also,
on
you
such
say
a
like
basic human
22 people
thing that you could verify, Google's so free. Also, how old are you?
I'm 19.
What year were you born in?
2005.
Okay, go ahead.
You said 22 like rape victims. That one, like that doesn't mean that all of them became pregnant or from it, but
yes, all of them. 65,000 women who specifically became pregnant as a result of sexual assault have been denied access to abortions in 10 states in the last 3 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned, directly because of Trump's decision to elect specific justices to the Supreme Court who he knew would do it.
All right. I mean, I still don't know if that. I guess we can move on from that because I really don't know if that's true or what.
Yeah, dude. Once again, Google's free.
All right, well, I'll Google after. I'm on my phone right now, so I can't. But
Okay, so I have a question. What is one
Yeah.
good economic policy that Trump is running on today?
I don't really know. I be honest with you, I don't know much about policies. I just know his economy was better.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's-
yeah, so you're right. The average American was better in 2017, 2018 than they are today,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, 110%, without a doubt. But that doesn't mean that Trump caused them to be better, and it doesn't mean that Biden and Harris caused them to be worse. We have to isolate for external variables, and we can't just assume because it happened during his presidency that he caused it, right? Because if we assume the logic, if it happened in our country, then the president is to blame. Do you think that Trump is to blame for the record high 14.8% level of unemployment at the end of his term in April of 2020?
No, COVID's to blame because, like, of course, COVID happened.
So external variables can impact how things
I think
happen in the
Trump did
economy.
good,
So I have to
not
isolate
that
for
bad.
those and explain how what policy influence to get passed caused good things to happen in his economy. So can you isolate for all external variables and tell me the policy that Trump signed into law that
Like I
caused
said,
his
I don't-
economy to be good?
Like I said, I don't know much about policy. I just look at like what was better during the time.
Right, but we just disputed that logic, and we detailed to you how we can't use that line of reasoning. And in fact, you disputed it too, and you said that we can't just assume that Trump caused the high level of unemployment in April of 2020 because COVID was also occurring.
Well, even during COVID, I feel like the economy was doing well since compared to during Trump's presidency compared to other pandemics.
The last pandemic that we had was a Spanish flu in the early 20th century. That is not a valid comparison.
I mean, I think you did. I think it is because we're comparing the.
What economic indicators do you know about the U.S. before the federal income tax was implemented in the early 20th century?
I just saw something like about that. So
Well, what did you see? Like, what were the economic indicators at the time?
I don't know. I saw
You
that.
have no clue. Me neither. What did you see?
Huh? I just
What did
said
you
I
see?
saw that. What I just said I saw. Saw that
What
online.
did you say that you saw?
How like he did a good job compared to other pandemics, like
What's another? Give me an example of another pandemic.
the Spanish flu.
Okay, who was the president during the Spanish flu?
I have no idea.
Me neither. That's the point. Like, we don't know anything about the economy. You and me both. So what the fuck am I saying?
I just saw that that the economy was doing well compared to other pandemics.
Okay, would you stop repeating like the same bullshit point?
Well,
I can't even believe that you're still on it. Like, you're still repeating that the economy was
asking
better during the Spanish flu.
Keep asking what I thought.
I just want to point out,
yeah.
nobody in this live, there's probably one geek out of the 7,000 people watching that knows how the economy was in the early 20th century around 2010 with the Spanish flu hit. I'm just gonna put that out there. There's probably one person in this entire life that knows anything about the economy during that era. Okay, but then secondly, it was also a drastically different economy. So that was before the federal income tax was imposed. How can we possibly measure and evaluate an economy prior to the imposition of a federal income tax to the world that we live in today?
Yeah, I don't know.
We can't.
You can't. Yep.
So do you have anything else you'd like to go over, Rooney?
I guess on wars he had
We're just going to move on to the next guest. It looks like he lagged out there. His internet disconnected. I do appreciate you for coming up, though, but his internet did disconnect. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio. Ladies and gentlemen, I get 100% of the donations on those platforms. They go right to me, none to TikTok. Also, give you a shout out because you get a notification that pops up at the top of my phone screen. And you could attach a message that I'll read off on live. I have my laptop open so I could read them out. What is up, Amelia? Did you vote for Trump?
Yo, I love you.
Hey, I love you too, Amelia. Thank you so much. We're going to move on. Let's go to get our next guest up in here, guys. Please, if you are in the queue, make sure that you did indeed vote for Trump. We are just looking for some debates. This is my preparation for tomorrow, okay? I'm so giddy to, debate my 20 Trump supporting relatives over the Thanksgiving table tomorrow. I'll be cooking, just not the turkey type shit. And this is my preparation. So, hey, what's up, Rick? Did you vote for Trump?
No, I voted for Putin.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to the next guest. Let's go and get Isabel up in the live. Everybody just... I don't fucking know. Whatever. It's okay. Whatever. We're just going to move on. I don't know. Okay, there's sometimes people will come up and say shit on my lives that I just don't know. Sid, thank you for the $5 donation on Venmo saying Thanksgiving is going to be so messy. Wish you luck. Dude, wish me luck. We'll wish each other luck. W's for Sid in the chat, and I hope that everything's okay tomorrow. Brooke, what's up? Did you vote for Trump?
I did not, but I do have a question for you. So I am getting married in 2025, and with this tariff import, like what Trump is like in doing, I'm just worried that like I won't even be able to afford it.
Afford the marriage?
No, the wedding itself, because weddings can be like over $20,000.
Yeah, what I'd recommend doing is going to a financial advisor and asking them that question. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I could probably sit here and like speculate, but like that's just a question for like a financial advisor. I'm gonna be honest, okay? Like I could have sat here on live and like gone over some ideas with you and tried my best, but I don't even want to mislead you because that's a pretty big deal. Marriages are huge, so I do appreciate you for coming up. But guys, keep in mind that we are just looking to debate people that are voting for Trump. So please, if you didn't vote for Trump, please do not hang out in the queue. What's up, Fast Eddie and Brenda? Did you guys vote for Trump?
I did.
Brenda? Brenda's not here. All right, Mr. Fassetti, give me a moment. Go ahead and tell us why you voted for Trump.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Why should everybody believe you about tariffs? And do you have any history, work history? Have you ever worked for a company dealing with economics or tariffs?
Yeah, so I have a master's degree in economics, and I've worked on Wall Street for the last 35 years.
Man, look, bro, you don't even shave, man. What are you, 21?
No, so I'm actually going to be 46. However, with the adrenochrome provided to me by the Biden-Harris administration bi-weekly, as well as, the pig blood that I put on my face every night, my skin stays looking great. But let's just face the facts, sir. I am your superior. I am your elder. You look up to me. I look down to you. I understand that that's rough, and I understand that I look like a 12-year-old kid, but that's just because I take care of my health, sir.
Why should anybody believe you? Why should anybody believe you if you have no experience in economics or tariffs?
I hear you. Well, it's because what I say is justified by fact. People shouldn't believe me because of one moment. Jessica, thank you for the subscription. 1 second. Tessa, thank you for the $20 donation on Venmo. Tessa says, happy early turkey day. Tessa Jins 828 in the chat. Dude, shout out to Tessa. Everybody, please show Tessa some love for the $20 donation. And Abby with a $7 donation. Love what you do. If you ever want a woman to debate abortion, women's rights, etc., I'd be very open. I absolutely, Abby. I appreciate you for reaching out, and I appreciate you for the $7 donation. But Fast Eddie, people should believe me not because of who I am or what my expertise or background is, but rather because what I say is justified by irrefutable fact. Justin, thank you for the $6 and the 66 cents on Venmo. Everybody show some love to Justin down below.
It's ironic, Eddie, that you say economics because I do have a degree in economics and I would tell you the same thing that Dean is going to tell you.
I do too. I have a finance and a minor in economics. I'm just asking you guys, what experience do you have?
Okay, so I'll ask the question. Do you know what market equilibrium is?
I do.
What is it?
I know exactly what market. It's supply and demand.
The intersection of supply and demand. Okay. Okay, so I'm just making sure. So what about tariffs do you think that wouldn't cause an increase in prices?
Hey, let me give you the bottom line, right? In 2016, when Donald Trump was elected, you guys on the left all screamed and hollered that the stock market was going to crash and that we're going to
Wait, before we go on some tangent about something else, I'd love to address that, but can you tell me specifically where he was wrong with the tariffs?
Let me finish. In 2016, when Donald Trump got elected, all you people on the left were screaming and hollering that the stock market was going to crash, we were going to get into World War III, all these things, and none of it happened.
I don't remember that, surprisingly.
Well, I'm asking you, what experience do
Dean today got banned on the main account. One moment. Thumbs down. Boom. Hello. Sorry, guys. I was just typing out a Discord announcement, and if you know anything about me, you know that I'm historically the worst ever at multitasking. So for everybody tuning in here, welcome in. We got a week ban account for misinformation. I don't know. I have no clue why. It sucks. It really does. Week ban. Once again, I will repeat it for a second time. We got a week ban on the main account for misinformation. No clue why, and it sucks. But that's fine because you know us. We have like 1 billion accounts in one. So Yeah, we got them everywhere. Someone in the chat is already saying, I'm reporting right now. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. MAGA hates free speech. Whenever a Republican tells you that it is the left who is a threat to free speech, keep in mind that the fan base of the right consists of people just like this guy that hate free speech. So, yeah. Thumbs down. How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go and hop straight into the debates after that pin of shame. If you voted for Trump and you think he will be good for America, please hop in the queue. Chat, listen, we need to talk. I've been so fucking busy lately. It's been unreal. It's been so unreal. And I'm finally taking a break this weekend. I thought that things were going to get easier after the election ended, and I was sorely fucking mistaken. If anything, they've gotten harder. Crazy thought. But this weekend, I'm finally going to take a break, and I can't wait. Anyways, for the first 1,000 people hanging out with us in here in the stream today, make sure that you're sharing out this live with a handful of friends. Today's stream is going to be a lot smaller on this live compared to most, just because we're on an account that we haven't used for a while. But hey, what's going on, Bernard? Did you vote for Trump? All right, Bernard's not here. Moving on to our next guest, ladies and gentlemen. How was my dinner last night? It was really good. I got to see my grandparents. I told them about the White House. It was so good. It was so people in the chat are saying that the audio is weird. If need be, crunchy audio. Okay, I'll just here. Let's see if this fixes it. What's up, Selmin? Did you vote for Trump?
No, I'm not American. I'm European. I just wanted to say something to the MAGA that follows your live. Trump is not going to be bad only for you, but
I don't know what they were saying, but I did hear them say that they are European, so we just kicked them. And I didn't know what they were saying because I unplugged my mic and plugged it back in. Is the audio fine now? Much better? If it's still a little country, we could kind of do the restart. Hey, what's going on, Mac? Did you vote for Trump?
No, but you'll reap what you sow, you godless American.
Whoa, wait. What did I do wrong? Godless? Atheism?
No, you're an American.
Oh, okay, so just like fuck all Americans?
Yep. Proud American.
Where are you from?
I exist in America.
So, okay, fuck you too then. You godless American.
Yeah. Stop hoarding your fucking money and give it up to people who need it.
Mac, do you know who I am?
Yeah, you're a money hoarder. You prioritize your own comforts and your own privileges over the expense of others.
Are you like anti-capitalism? Is that
I'm
what this whole shtick?
people like you.
Okay, so what people like me? Okay, let's calm down. Okay, what traits are present in my character that make you not like me that aren't present in your own?
The inability to grasp the reality of the world.
In what regards? Like money hoarder? Like, are you talking to so you think I make money and I don't do anything with it to help others?
Oh no, I think you are probably poor, just like myself, and you probably hold on to the limited amount of resources that you have because you don't share crowdfunding, you don't share direct aid, you don't engage in mutual aid, you don't do things that we as human beings should be doing to acknowledge the complicity and harm.
Mac, you should come into my stream in December. So during December, I talked about it in my Discord, but I guess I'll announce it on live as well. So I'm doing a Christmas fundraiser for Black LGBTQ youth charities. Audrey, thank you so much for the subscription. The reason that it's coming like in December compared to like in the last month and a half when I've been talking about it is because you got to run them the right way on TikTok. And I don't mind just like talking about this very briefly. The issue with crowdfunding on TikTok, Keely, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love, Keely. Is that there's a lot of people that take advantage of that for themselves and they literally lie and manipulate and steal and commit fraud. I know like multiple bigger creators that you probably know and you probably look up to that have guised a crowdfunder for some ultimate cause and got people to donate for the good cause and then just taken the money for themselves. So it's like
I spend all of my resources and time to up.
The goal of like a crowdfunder that's being ran correctly here on TikTok has to be so I'm cut out of the equation, meaning the money's not going to me and it's going directly to crowdfund and like the logistics are getting figured out for a Christmas fundraiser. So pull through, man. I highly
But you
recommend
should
it.
do that all year.
But I have a question.
I and so many other people do.
Oh, you do? Like, what kind of work have you done, man?
If you go look at the #1 link in my bio, it's for my friend Omar, who's in Gaza, and I've been helping fundraise for him for literally since March. I literally was going outside and banging on a pot, trying to get people to care, and people don't. A lot of people with privileges don't fucking care about other people besides themselves.
Okay, but do you think it's a good idea for this fundraiser that I've told you about for me to be doing that next month? Is that good?
It sounds like movement capture.
Okay, see, that's the issue with people like that's people like you. That's the issue with people like you, Mac. Is you're like fundraise more.
Projection.
Well, you don't know what I'm gonna quote unquote project because you cut me off. This is the issue with
You
people
should
like
do it all year, not just in December.
This is the issue with people like you, Mac. You're like fundraise more, and then I'm like, okay, here's a fundraiser that I'm currently working on setting up for my stream, and then you're like, oh, well, that fundraiser is actually just like image capturing and grifting.
Because it is.
Okay, so I should fundraise less. Like I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do
No,
the
you
imaging.
should divest from your privileges and do more of it all year rather than just whenever
Ash, thank you for the
feel like the time
sunglasses.
to
I
do it.
appreciate you for the love. Okay, so you're saying if I do it once, it's image captioning and grifting, but if I do it more than once,
No, movement capture.
movement. Okay, so if I do it once, it's movement capturing and grifting, but if I do it more than once, it's not movement capturing and it's not grifting.
It still can be, but you have a likely chance to actually invest
Yeah,
in
get the
people.
fuck out of here, Mac. Dude, that's like that's like the issue with a lot of these people. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit. That's what I call too woke, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? That is too woke, you guys.
What
It's
up,
like
Dean?
fundraise more, but when you fundraise, you are movement capturing and grifting, you piece of shit. Jesus. What's up, Seth? Did you vote for Trump?
What's up, man? I'm 25.
Nice. Do you vote for Trump?
Nar, I did not.
All right. Well, I'm just looking to debate people that did vote for Trump.
my
Y'all.
bad.
For everybody tuning into the live, guys, if you are in the queue, make sure that you voted for Trump. Let's go and get our next guest up in the box literally right now. Hey, what's going on? Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Awesome. And why's that?
Honestly, I don't even really like the guy. I just voted for him because of people like you and Harry. I find you guys obnoxious and feel like you just spread lies.
Okay. So if I wasn't a Democrat, you wouldn't have voted for Trump?
No, if you like weren't a habitual liar, I probably would
habitual
have
liar.
considered
Okay.
the Democratic Party.
So an habitual liar is someone that like would lie frequently. Okay. All right. And if I lied
Yeah.
frequently on live in front of thousands of people, I think it'd be pretty easy to call me out on them. So why don't you go ahead and call me out on my lies?
Well, you just repeat DNC talking points. You don't have any like independent thought of your own. It's just whatever the party says, you just regurgitate and reinforce it.
Okay. So
And,
can you give me an example?
I mean, it's everything you say. It's your entire platform.
That's not an example. Like, I feel like if we're gonna have this conversation about
You
accusing me of being-
select quotes.
One moment. I feel like having this conversation about me being a habitual liar, and now you're literally saying that every single thing I say is a lie. Well, you're gonna have to give me an example. I'm just saying. Like for instance, like I had an ex-girlfriend that was a pathological liar, a pathological gaslighter, treated me very poorly. Okay, right? And when the time came for me to break up with her, and I had this discussion with her, right, and I was telling her about a lot of the very bad qualities that she has that makes us incompatible, I would give her examples. You know what I mean? In fact, just even mention it now on live, so many examples are coming to my head about how she would lie to me and how she would gaslight me. I could, drill them down very specifically. So I'm asking you to do the same thing. Just give me like 1, 2, 3, 4 examples of like very specific lies.
You called Donald Trump a rapist.
Okay, that's not a lie. That's true.
No, it's not. He wasn't convicted of grape. He wasn't found liable of grape.
Okay. So the implication there is if he was found liable of grape, then he would be a rapist, right?
Correct.
Okay.
He was found liable of SA, not grape. They're two different things.
So would you
you just
agree that-
repeat a lie over
Would
and over
you-
and over.
Well, let's see if we can meet in the middle of the aisle here. Would you agree with me that anything entering into a woman's vajayjay without consent is grape?
I think a grape conviction or being found liable of grape would be the evidence that you need that you don't have.
I understand. I'm asking you a
So
question.
you're repeating a lie.
No.
I'm not going to play these like little word games with you.
No, it's
You're
not a
re-
little.
you
it's not a
knowingly
little-
repeat a lie.
It's not a little word game. It's
I'll give you another
important for the-
example.
No, stop. It's important for this conversation. Would you agree with me that anything entering into a woman's vagina without consent is grape?
Yes.
Okay, then you agree with me that he was held liable for rape because that's what he was held
No,
liable
he
for
wasn't.
doing.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
He was held
No,
liable.
he did not.
The
He was not.
action-
No, he wasn't.
One
It was
moment.
SA. It was SA.
The action that he was held liable for doing was penetrating.
You're playing a game
you mind-
with your followers
do you mind
now,
if I
and
have
you're
30
lying,
seconds?
and you're spreading lies.
Do you mind if I have 30 seconds?
It's your platform. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the action that he was held liable for doing was penetrating E. Jean Carroll's vajayjay without consent with his fingers. Okay, you're right. And under the law of the New York at the state at the time, and New York State at the time, that was only defined as SA because the definition of grape, legally speaking, was the penetration of the male member with a.
So stop lying.
The penetration of the female member with a male member.
So
right?
stop lying.
But, one moment. We can both colloquially agree, right, that what he did to her was grape in accordance with both of our definitions. But I mean, if you just want to uphold a standard that you only will listen to what the court says, there was a second follow-up suit where Trump tried to countersue her for calling him a rapist on live TV because he agreed with your perspective that that's a lie. And the judge ended up ruling that her claims were substantially true. So is that judge's ruling sufficient for you to understand how what he did?
The
to
New
you
York
is grape
judicial
upon
system
how
is
you
completely
define yourself?
hijacked. I have zero faith in the New York State judicial system.
And
It's
now
been
I have
hijacked by
and now I have
Letitia
zero faith
James.
in you. Now I have
Cool.
zero
That's
faith in
awesome.
you. The reason
That's
why
awesome.
I have zero faith in you is because we started off our conversation about if it would be a lie for me to call Trump a rapist if it was adjudicated by the criminal justice system or civil justice system in the state of New York that he had raped someone. And you said yes, that'd be totally fair. That's not a lie. Okay? So I just have successfully explained to you how that was adjudicated, right? Not only is that how we both colloquially define the term rape, but it was also made explicitly clear by the judge in a follow-up countersuit. Okay? But now you completely shifted the goalpost away from that original claim that you affirmed. It's not a lie if it was adjudicated to be the case. And now you're rather just appealing to like the perceived faults in the system as a whole in the state of New York. So which one is it? Is it a lie for me to call Donald Trump a rapist because that's not what it was adjudicated for and found by the jury? Or is it a lie for me to call Trump a rapist because although that was found by the judge in a follow-up suit and it was how we both colloquially define the term, you do not think that the justice system in the state is reliable?
What we are seeing is
Not
the
an answer to my
fall
question.
of the mainstream media and
Not an answer to my
talking
question.
heads like you standing up to take the
Yeah, I'll literally let you yap and talk about all this as much
lies
as you want after you answer the question. Because I asked you a very direct question. Am I lying when I call Trump a rapist because the criminal justice system in the state of New York is unreliable? Or am I lying when I call Trump a rapist because you don't believe that's what was litigated by the courts? Okay, you could go off on a tangent about whatever else you want after you answer this very direct question. Yeah, I don't think you understand that like I'm actually a pretty chill guy. I'm actually capable of having non-emotional conversations where we can both share each other's perspectives, but as long as you track the conversation. And I'm extending the olive branch and I'm telling you, you could talk
tracking the
about whatever you want to
conversation.
after it is the case that you answer this question.
He was not found liable of rape, which you continue to lie to your followers about and your audience about. You're not
So
you're
I've
not
already
doing.
addressed this. Was
Yeah, you're justifying
just
your
saying it
lies
again.
because you're a paid
Okay.
shill from the DNC.
Okay, well, sir, I think that you probably have the IQ of my family pet if you can't track the conversation that we've had up until
I'm
this
tracking the
point,
conversation.
right?
Let me ask you something.
But now you think that I'm a paid shill
did
by the
Donald
DNC.
Trump call
How do you know that I'm paid by
schmutzies
the
very
DNC?
fine people
How do you know that I'm paid by the DNC? You could ask me that question after you respond
getting
to the
money through
statement
some
that you
back
just made.
channels? All of you are. All of
Okay.
you are. Otherwise, you
We're-
wouldn't be repeating so many lies. It's like
Do you think it's okay
name
to
one
believe
bad
things
thing
without
about the
evidence?
Democratic Party. Name
Support
one
for
bad thing
Israel.
about the Democratic Party. What has the Democratic Party gotten wrong?
Support for Israel.
So you believe that are you on the side of Hamas and Palestine?
No, I'm on the side
You
of
believe
common
they're
sense,
on
less innocent.
false land?
I'm on the side of common sense. I believe that it's bad when innocent people die, and the way that we reduce the amount of innocent people that do die is by advocating for a ceasefire agreement and reducing the amount of weapon shipments that we send to Israel.
And you think Israel is in the wrong for responding the way that they did? Do you think it's
Obviously
the G
But-
word?
Obviously, yes, but like
Do you think they're
intimation.
committing G?
Yes, but in summation, my stance is very, very simple. Common sense. We don't even need to get into the intricacies or the nuance. Common sense dictates innocent people dying is bad. Common sense dictates that a ceasefire agreement will lead to less deaths of innocent people compared to further funding and weapons for Israel. Cheyenne, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love, Cheyenne. Like, I don't know if like you're able to tell what I'm doing right now. What I'm trying to do right now is stay out, right, of the party splits and the ideological splits when it comes to the foundational existence of an Israeli state or the way that the state has operated itself for its capability. for things like genocide, war crimes, etc. What I'm offering you is a very common sense approach that we can both agree on so we can stop innocent people from dying.
The fact that you think that Israel is committing genocide tells me everything about you that I need to know.
The fact
If
that
this is genocide, then this is
the fact that you won't even engage with the common sense approach that I'm attempting to give you, and you're rather choosing to discuss other things, when in all reality, I told you my one issue with the Democrat Party and the common sense solution, but you'd rather talk about everything but it, is appalling. Okay, there's going to be
your answer's a cop out.
There's going to be a multitude, of individuals out there that are better fit to discuss the intricacies and the nuance of Israel and Palestine than I am. Right? I think, that I'm pretty smart on the issue. I won't lie. But there's many people out there that are drastically smarter than me. But once again, I'm giving you my common sense solution that I want you to agree to. Or tell me why you don't agree to it. Innocent people dying is bad. Less innocent people will die if we have a ceasefire agreement. Do you agree with that? Anonymous, thank you for the $3 on PayPal. Also, stop being done. Stop. No, and also, chat, you're saying stop muting. Well, I know I'm muting this guest because he's not engaging with me. He's been doing it since we brought him up here. It's like he makes a point, I refute it, I give my explanation, he ignores it, repeats the point. If you were watching the whole thing, you'd understand.
You continue to mute me. Every time I try to respond to one of your claims, you mute me.
Because you're not responding to what I want you to.
Because the only reason why you're avoiding it is because you know. And you're taking the AOC approach where you start to go down this road, you realize you know nothing about the subject.
I agree with
and
that.
then you go, well, I'm not a foreign policy expert, but killing people is bad. Let me ask you something. Why are you so concerned about the innocent people being unalived in Israel, but you're not worried about the 600,000 to 1.2 million people that have died or been injured in the Russian-Ukraine conflict? Why are you cool supporting that money and funding that war?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, the reason why I support sending money and funding to Ukraine is because, similar to Palestine, they're being unjustly aggressed upon by a foreign adversary, such as the state of Russia. All right, and I also think that we should honor contractual agreements that we historically have with other countries, such as the one that we have with Ukraine from 1994 called the Budapest Memorandum, in which we agreed to support them if they were invaded by a foreign adversary, if they were to denuclearize. Secondarily, my position on Israel and Palestine is clear, and we can get into the nuances because I think I do have sufficient information to justify my position. You said that it's not a genocide. I think that there's a couple qualifications in order for a genocide to be considered, right? First is going to be the widespread death of a populace.
That's not what's happening. There's been 20,000 deaths, and there's 2.2 million people.
Okay,
that
with
live
all
there.
due respect, if you interrupt me, I'm just going to move on.
Well, you're spreading more lies. Go ahead. What is a large population, or however you phrase it?
How could I possibly be spreading my lies when I'm trying to give you my criteria for how I define a term? It's super duper simple. This is why I'm not having fun in our conversation, and why I have muted you is because I'm trying to explain to you my criteria insofar as how I define certain terms, and then you interject and you're like, that's a lie. So I actually can't be lying if I'm just rhetorically defining how I use certain terms. It's super duper simple, and I just want it to be known to everybody.
Here's a term to define. What's a woman? What's a woman? Why don't you define that?
Sure, I think that a woman is an adult human is an adult human individual who would align with the social categories or characteristics typical that of the female sex. I have a question for you. Are you a Christian?
Am I what?
Are you a Christian?
No, I'm an atheist.
You're an atheist. Awesome. Do you think that men are better at leading than women?
Not inherently.
Not inherently, great. So, with all due respect, man, just because you can't stay on topic and you just want to pivot, I'm just going to kick you out. I mean, I'm happy that I could answer your questions at least, but it's super annoying. First, you say it's a lie that I call Trump a rapist. I explain that to you. You pivot to asking me an issue with the Democrat Party. I tell you what an issue with the Democrat Party is and what my solution would be. You use that to pivot to the issue in the Democrat Party and to asking me what a genocide is. I start defining genocide, then use that to pivot into asking me what a woman is. I define what a woman is. At least we sufficiently answered everything he asked of us, but the pivots are annoying. What's up? Hey, did you vote for Trump?
Yeah,
Okay, 1 second. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Perfect. Coach Koran, you should join. He just said Jesus. That man owned you, Dean. I'd love for you to join. Okay, awesome. What year were you born in?
2006.
And why did you vote for Trump?
I voted for him because in 2016, I was seeing my parents struggle. I mean, not 2016, sorry, 2020. I saw my parents struggling a lot, but back under Trump's tax code, they weren't struggling at all. And I also think Kamala Harris, I remember seeing her interviewing, and this woman was like, how do you think, like,
Let's talk about the first point real quick. So would you say under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's tax plan that they struggled?
Yeah.
And just for like further clarification, of course I disagree with you there. I think that Biden's tax plan has done great things for our country over the course of the last couple of years. But would you ever want to see that tax plan implemented into our country again?
Trump's or Biden's?
Biden's. The plan that we've had for the last 4 years.
I don't think so. Yeah, no.
Okay, so I lied to you. We're actually still under Trump's tax code, and you just told me that you never want to see Trump's tax code re-implemented into our country. By voting for Trump, you voted to re-implement it for another 10 years when it expires and will be reinstituted by him next year.
Oh.
I feel like your face IRL when you said "oh" looks a lot like your profile picture on here.
Yeah, I didn't know all that, but another reason I would want to vote for Trump is I just don't think I remember I just didn't like Kamala Harris, and I don't think she's really like a family woman, you know, like she slept with
I'm so appalled.
She slept with a
She slept with a man.
A
She
married
slept with
man.
a man. She slept with a man. Oh, Chad, we're so cooked. We are so cooked. A woman that was running for president slept with a man.
I
She
thought
should have
he
slept
was
with a woman
married.
instead. She should have slept with a woman instead. Am I right?
No, like wasn't he married?
He was legally divorced for 10 years. But if you want to talk about cheating and destroying families, Donald Trump has cheated on all 3 of his wives, one with a porn star. Just saying. He's also raped women, sexualized little girls, etc.
What?
Sexualized his own daughter, too. What? I mean, it was a strong reaction to him raping a woman, sexualizing a little girl, cheating on all of his wives. Which one?
All of it?
What?
I didn't know about that.
Which one didn't? What point didn't you know about?
I didn't know that he raped someone.
Yeah, E. Jean Carroll. Just look up Trump grape case. Find all the details. Her name's E. Jean Carroll. She was raped by Trump 26 years ago.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to talk to Coach now.
I'm so sorry.
Hi, Coach. Unmute that mic for me, Pookie.
Fucking whore. Yeah, that's it. Go home. Get
Coach, turn off the music. Use your big boy voice, not YouTube Premium. You gotta mute your mic now. I just said that he has YouTube Premium. That was a stretch. That was a reach. Maybe that was the lie that the last guest was talking about.
Hey, she was a hooah.
Mama's little tramp. Mama.
Okay, I don't know what this guy's doing, so we're just going to kick him and move on. I have no clue what was just going through his mic. Everybody just to give us a minute to get our next guest up in here, y'all. Everybody just to give us a minute. I don't know what that was. Hey, hi, did you vote for Trump?
Okay, I want to talk about something.
How do you?
Let me see.
You need to see your age?
No, what's it called? I want to talk about something.
Motherfucker, do you have to check your ID?
Give me a second, dumbass.
How old are you?
What's it called? My age doesn't really matter, but I want to disprove a claim that you keep bringing up.
She had to check her ID, Chad. She had to go to the purse, pull out the wallet, look at the ID, put it under the microscope, read the... hello, Lily, Tilly, Lace. Hi, did you vote for Trump?
Oh, I got on by accident. Sorry.
No worries, Tilly. Don't you trip. Don't you trip. We get our next guest, Scotty, loading up in. This is kind of so cooked, dude. I don't even know how we're gonna do our lives for the next couple of days. It is what it is. Hello, Scotty. No, don't leave, Scotty. Ooh, ooh, Scotty. Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm going crazy. Moving on to our next guest. Did I get banned? I did get banned on my main account. That's why I'm crashing out. Hi, Nick. Did you vote for Trump?
I did.
You did. Phenomenal. All right, and why is that?
I mean, just simple looking back, going to 2020 to 2024, my biggest concern is the border.
The border. Okay. All right. And you think that Biden and Harris opened that, John, right?
Obviously.
And what policy did they do that with?
The stay in Mexico.
It's not called the stay in Mexico. It's called the remain in Mexico. Do you think that we had an open border like after that was repealed?
Pretty much.
So we had an open border under Trump between 2017 and 2018 when that wasn't in place?
Well, the difference between Trump and Biden, Trump allowed the United States Border Patrol to actually do their job, and
thank you for the $2 on Venmo.
Do you think? I think Biden and the Biden administration basically put handcuffs on the United States Border Patrol to actually do their job and prevent illegal immigrants from crossing the border.
Okay, you're about to have your first conscious experience of your life. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
They didn't.
Oh, really?
And you could go to Google and try to find anything, any order, any executive order, any congressional policy that
then why?
Harris implement. One moment. I need you to, quite frankly, sit back, put your listening ears on, take the commemorative patting on the left ear from the Trump shooting off. Open your eardrums and listen. Okay? They didn't tell the Border Patrol not to do their job. You wouldn't be able to find any evidence to justify that. That's just like a false talking point from the right that doesn't actually mean anything because it's not actually true.
Then why under their administration did they have the largest border crossings in history?
It's, first of all, not in history. Second of all, great question that I can give a great answer to, but I want to address something. So it's often that people will come up on my live, say something that's a lie, that doesn't have any evidence to justify it as being true, and then when I'm like, hey man, there's literally no evidence that that's true. And then you're like, okay, well then why did this other thing happen? I just want to let you know that I actually don't have any further burden of proof to dispute your original claim. Even if I was to say, I have no clue why we had the biggest crisis ever in history at the southern border, that doesn't mean that your original claim that they told Border Patrol not to do their jobs is true, because there's still no evidence to justify that. But if you're curious about the crisis, right, it's because they gave a very delayed response through an executive order to the crisis at the southern border caused by the expiration of Title 42, and it was delayed because Trump forced it to be, okay, right? Because we knew that the crisis was coming when Title 42 was expiring, so Biden and Harris jumped together, got Congress on the same page, and started influencing a bipartisan border bill that would have severely mitigated the impacts of the crisis. Trump undermined that, and he stopped it from passing because he wanted the crisis to continue. So Mr. Nick would be sitting on Dean Withers' Lives a couple years later saying it was Biden and Harris's fault.
So what proof do you have that Trump undermined the whole stopping the bipartisan bill in Congress?
Great question, Nick. First of all,
he's a former president, obviously. So you're saying that he was telling people to, don't vote on this bill, blah, 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 because he wants to fix it.
Yeah, pretty much.
What proof do you have? Do you have proof? Obviously, that's apparently.
No, I don't have any.
So
I don't have any.
You're spitting lies then. Okay, gotcha.
I don't have any proof.
All right. Then
just kidding. I actually have a lot. So the person that wrote the bill, his name was Langford. He actually went out on Fox News and spoke against Trump for telling people to torpedo his bill. He's a Republican Trump endorsed. Same story with Mitch McConnell and same story with Ted Cruz.
Mitch McConnell's a rhino.
It doesn't matter because in this case, Mitch McConnell was telling the truth. And I mean, just the cherry on top is when Trump gave a rally in Nevada and said to blame it on him if the bill fails, and he just kind of admitted to torpedoing it. Feel free to look up Trump torpedoes border bill. the Hill, Nevada rally.
So if Trump undermined this bill, maybe there was concerns within the bill that he had, and that was why he was expressing, hey, look at it this way. You probably shouldn't vote on it.
I'd say the only way that he'd be justified in torpedoing it because of concerns in the bill is if the bill would have actually made the crisis worse. So how is the bill going to make the crisis worse?
The bipartisan bill?
Yeah.
Making it worse? That I have no idea.
Yeah, because it didn't. It made it better, okay? Like, I'm sure that you could throw together some arbitrary argument about how it wasn't sufficient to your standard. I bet that would require a little bit of mental gymnastics, but you could do it. The point is that it would have reduced the impact of the crisis. Good bill to pass.
Correct. Yeah. It'd basically be like the house is fully engulfed and they put the fire out, but there's still 2 rooms on fire. Still a big issue.
Yeah, but like obviously,
that bill would have helped.
Obviously, like yeah. So I mean, like obviously, I think that the bill's good. But I'll let you hold that position because it was still like the case that Donald Trump torpedoed the bill because he wanted it to fail, so there was no reduction of the impact of the crisis, right? Having a start is better than not having anything at all. For instance, if you were hungry, let me ask you this question: if you were hungry, and someone came up to you and offered you a burger, would you take the burger, or would you say no, I don't want a burger, I want a bacon wrapped fillet, therefore I'm going to reject your burger even though I won't get a bacon wrapped fillet? Like, it's like, are you going to continue to starve, or are you just going to take the damn burger?
We'll hold out for the bacon wrapped fillet.
Okay, that's really stupid. Like, you're not telling the truth when you say that. I just could sense it. Like, if you're starving on the street and someone offers you food that will make you be full, you're not going to reject it because you wanted better food. That's very disingenuous.
Correct. It was a joke. But just staying on topic with illegal immigration and the problem that it is straining major cities, Chicago, New York City. What are your thoughts on that, of us spending U.S. tax dollars to house all these illegal immigrants in our country? And
it's a necessity.
The cost is hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's a necessity. We need to be doing that because our Congress has failed to pass good legislation. Okay? If we had systems in America, right, where people coming into our country, which, by the way, the people that are in those hotels are asylum seekers. It's a legal process. Where the people coming into the country
very soft asylum process
actually had the means to get the records necessary to go out there and work a job, right? As an asylum seeker when their claim is processing, right? We wouldn't need that. If we had the infrastructure to expedite the asylum seeking process and reduce it from like 8 years to 6 to 8 months, we wouldn't need that, right? If we had the proper channels to give these people the resources they need to do what they came here for, which was to provide for themselves and their family, to give them a higher standard of living, we wouldn't need that. We wouldn't need that infrastructure, but that infrastructure is only required because Congress hasn't gotten their shit together, because Republicans have taken the issue of the border and immigration as a whole and completely radicalized it as a way to get the vote of white prejudice people. And instead of actually concerning themselves with proactive, genuine solutions for illegal systems migration into our country, we are now in a situation where these processes take fucking ages and these asylum seekers can't work, right, because of bad legislation. Meaning if we don't provide them that housing, they're going to starve on the streets. So I say we could meet in the middle of the aisle here and say, it kind of does suck that our state governments are being relied upon by asylum seekers just to live. And the way to fix that is by giving the asylum seekers what they want, the legal freedom to work a job, produce a wage, and provide for their family, which is the reason they came here in the first place.
Correct. I mean, I'm 100% on board. Our entire immigration process for pretty much ever has just been horrendous. There's no easy path to citizenship. There's people who have done every single thing right when it comes to becoming a citizen of the United States, and it takes years, which obviously that's a problem. But the whole just walking across the border and claiming asylum, no matter what country or from wherever you're from, you can just say you're an asylum seeker and all of a sudden you're in the United States by the way, here's your court date in 8 years, have free reign.
So it's actually not quite like that. You have to go through the court system, and your asylum claim has to get approved by a judge. And then, like, also, yes, that is international law. Just saying. And it positively provides to the economy. It reduces your tax burden. And there's going to be $7 trillion that wouldn't have been added to our GDP otherwise that will just because of our migration systems.
But you just said that none of them are able to work. You said
What's that? Repeat that.
You said that one of the issues of us putting these people in houses is because they can't work. So how are they providing to society if they're not working?
Well, they are. It's just that the claim takes a little while. Like for like instance, the people in the hotels, like that's only because they have to wait like another 3 to 4 months to get the documentation that they need to go work a job with a what's it called, a ITIN, and that's what they're waiting on.
Yeah.
And then they go out and work. But the issue there isn't the migrants. The issue there is our inefficient bureaucratic systems that take so fucking long to get them the ITIN that they need to go out.
EIN, taxable identification number, is what they need.
It's the ITIN for asylum seekers.
Yep. All right. The more you know. But I mean, the whole illegal border crossing and the unvetting of these people, and obviously
they are vetted. They're literally vetted by a court. I just want to put that out there. They are vetted by a goddamn court.
Then how are these literally murderers? You see it all the time on the news of these Venezuelan gang members coming into our country, taking over apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, I believe. But that's just a small handful of bad immigrants coming into our country. So you're telling me that they knew that these people were gang members after they've been arrested in the United States, but they, throughout the vetting process, they didn't.
Did you know that we actually don't have Venezuelan gang members overtaking apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, and that's just propaganda spewed by the right?
Propaganda? So who was that? Just some random
American citizens. Like, you wouldn't be able to produce any evidence that they're Venezuelan gang members. The only reason that you say that is because they're of Latinx origin. Meaning that their skin color isn't the same as yours. Right? And then you're like, oh, well, that obviously means that, like, they're Venezuelan gang members.
I mean, that's just what I've read in several articles.
I know, but they're not actually reporting the truth. Like, I'd love for you to provide me evidence of that. Then, like, also about, like, murderers and rapists and whatnot. Yeah, guess what? Undocumented migrants are 2 times less likely to commit violent crimes than U.S. citizens.
Then I was, what you say?
Undocumented migrants are 2 times less likely to commit violent crimes than natural-born U.S. citizens. And if you're so concerned about violent offenders, maybe you shouldn't have voted one in the Oval Office, sir. Who's held civilly liable for raping a woman? He's committed 34 felonies. He tried to coup the country and called for the termination of the Constitution. If an undocumented migrant did that, you'd call them a terrorist. But because it was a natural-born U.S. citizen in the state of New York, you call them president.
So, just to touch on the great thing, I think that's what you have to say via TikTok or whatever. So why, I think obviously rape is a horrible, horrible crime. Like, should be punishable, and you should obviously go to jail for that. Why was this brought into a civil court and not a criminal court?
Yeah, because the statute of limitations,
This is
as far as like bringing it to the criminal court, had passed, so it couldn't have been like criminal charges couldn't have been pursued.
Because the case is 26 years old, correct?
23 when it was brought to the court system. Yeah.
23, yeah, and it was settled. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to make the claim that like, oh, it's unreliable because of how long she waited, 64% of women that get raped never report it ever, right?
Which is,
and then also like I actually, so like a lot of like people will say like she only brought it forward because he was president. I actually might say that was a big reason why she brought it forward, but that doesn't discredit her claims. If anything, it emboldens them. Right? Because in my mind, if this was a false allegation, she'd be less likely to bring it up when he's in such a position of power to discredit her and to prove that it's false.
The thing
And I
is,
think the fact that she brought it up when he was sitting as the president of our country shows that she just wanted to be a true American patriot and make sure that the electorate was well informed about exactly who they support and who they might be voting for, given that he would probabilistically based speaking run for a re-election campaign in 2020 and once again in 2024. I'm totally fine with granting that the only reason she pursued charges was because of his political stature. But that was a good thing. A true American patriot.
I mean, it's just the whole process of it being brought to civil court is you don't need undeniable proof that that event occurred. Like in criminal court, you need undeniable proof that the crime was committed.
So there's different levels of evidence needed for a civil and a criminal court. What I'll say is, historically speaking, no one's ever had an issue with the standard of evidence of civil courts. The first time we've ever had an issue with the standard of evidence in a civil court has been when there's charges against Trump. Just saying.
I think people had issues.
The next thing that I'll say is that I'd say that the evidence that was specifically submitted into her civil court case proved that it occurred beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt.
Then why was he only liable for SA, not grape, like it was originally brought to them?
Because grape in the state was defined as the PP entered into the VJJ without consent. I believe that it was proven beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt that at minimum, her VJJ was penetrated with his fingers.
Okay.
But I think both of those two things are going to be colloquially considered as grape, and today are now considered legally as grape in 35 states, including New York. And the judge of that case has clarified that her claim that Donald Trump has graped her was substantially true.
Okay.
Anything else, man?
No, I mean, this is the greatest part about living in the good old United States is we can just have difference of opinions and have a discussion.
Yeah, I think that these discussions are really important. I wish that we didn't have this difference in opinion, and I don't think that that difference in opinion makes America great. America would be greater if we could agree that, we shouldn't vote for a grapist. I think that America would be greater if we could agree, based upon a preponderance of fact, that we absolutely should accept the ruling of the civil court that held Donald Trump liable. But I mean, yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming up and having a conversation with me.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
Yeah, have a good one. We're gonna move on to our next guest, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, just to give us a minute. We got Jared. Let's see what the hell Jared has to share with us. By the way, guys, so we're on a backup account because the main got banned. I've already tried to talk to my people to get in contact with TikTok to see if that could be appealed. But for the time being, honestly, we're just gonna hang out and fuck around on here. And I'm probably not gonna be on live for long. I'm probably gonna end up getting off, maybe doing a load of laundry, hanging out, getting ready for a Friendsgiving thing that I have tonight. But honestly, we're just fucking around, dude. We're just totally fucking around. Hopefully Parker will go live soon. We could raid him and hang out. But I'm just in a pretty chill mood. Honestly, I recognize that I get more push on my streams when I'm a little bit more sassy or a little bit more of a diva. But we're just gonna hang out and have genuine conversations today.
You're definitely a diva.
Yeah, and you like that.
I don't know.
Well, then why are you in my stream every day and in my guest requests every other? You're definitely
because your followers that are raiding my Discord are telling me to come in here and debate.
So Jared, I'm just gonna put it out there. If you talk about your Discord again today, I'm just gonna kick you. I let you stay up here last time. If you mention it one more time, you're gone. I have many people that I could talk to that are substantially more intelligent than you, and you're pretty meaningless in the grand scheme of things in accordance with my live stream. So if you just say that again, I'm gonna kick you and move on.
Sure. So can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Ask away, man. Let's talk about the topic. Let's talk about why you support Trump, why you voted for him, and how terrible he'll be for America. But
I mean, Trump. Okay, because Trump can define what a woman is. That's one reason I'm voting for him, or I've already voted for him. So.
Okay. Right. Can you define what a man is?
Yeah, I am one.
You're giving an example, not a definition. No, you're actually. Are you actually Googling the definition of a man? You fucking suck. I can't believe this.
I would have.
Oh my god!
I'm not Googling anything.
Jared, bro. Oh my god. You're unfucking believable. I just can't believe how stupid
It's
you
the
are.
same. It's literally the same thing as the definition of a woman, except one word difference, and it's man instead of.
That's not the definition. That's the term that you're trying to define. What's the definition of the term?
An adult male human being.
Thank you for defining the term man in accordance with your view. Let me ask you a question, Jared. We've had discussions before. You're a Christian, right?
I mean, I don't have to bring my religion into what I believe a man and a woman is.
It is. It's actually conceptually relevant. You want to know why?
It's not for me.
It is, because
I don't have to believe in God to know that what a man and a woman are obviously very different.
Well, watch this. So God the Father, he's a man, right?
You're trying to turn this into like a religious debate, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to stay on the topic.
It's actually not a religious debate.
The topic is, what is a woman?
So, Jared, it's not a religious debate. It's seeing if that's truly how you define the term man, and to see if you have any other internal contradictions with things that you'll call a man.
I think that you have a lot of contradictions.
I hear you, but do you mind if I run my argument without you running away?
Yeah, as long as you don't bring up like religion, because I don't have to have religion to debate this.
Well, it's the reason why I'm bringing it up is because it relates, and the way that it relates.
No, it doesn't at all.
Because you define man as an adult human being, so you could have your sick, twisted prejudice against trans people who are merely trying to exist and will be hotter than you will ever, right? But simultaneously, you call God the Father a man. Meanwhile, he is not an adult human male, possesses no biology that of a male, no penis, no
Yeah, he's a
gametes,
spirit.
etc.
It's a spirit.
And you totally classify his gender identity that of a man based upon social characteristics as that are described of him in the Christian Bible and theology as a whole, which is conceptually identical to how I would reference gender identity in accordance with social characteristics that would apply to trans people. It's exactly what you do for God.
So why do we say Mother Nature? Is she a woman?
Mother Nature.
Yeah, is she a woman?
No.
Okay, so why do we say Mother Nature?
Why do you say Mother Nature?
I think it's because we give roles to it's because we give roles to certain, like spirits,
but
what
the
somebody
thing
might
is-
believe or something
is-
like that.
Mother Nature isn't like an identity assigned to a person. Okay? Mother Nature.
Does she have children?
One moment. Do you mind if you let me finish speaking? Mother Nature is not an identity as assigned to a person. Mother Nature is just a term to reference nature, quite literally speaking. But when you say God the Father, you are literally assigning an identity to a person that you believe literally has children. Okay?
No, it's
Like,
personification is what it is.
Okay, so God the Father isn't actually a father?
It's how we refer to God, yeah. But I'm not, again, this just goes off the topic. You're just pivoting.
So
hard
is God the Father actually a father?
I asked you what a woman is, and you're asking me if God the Father is a father. Like, that has nothing to do with the topic. Are you kidding me?
It's just.
Let me ask you a question, Dean. If there was a disease that came out.
Oh my God! 1 second. I'm gonna go and read a message. Shut up. Someone in my Discord says Jared called you liberal flags without the L when I cooked him about what a woman is. Jared, do you think it's okay to use slurs?
Nobody cooked me, and you've never cooked me. You won't even let me finish a sentence. I think that proves who's very intelligent and who's not.
Do you think it's okay to use slurs?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you slurred a couple people in my Discord.
In your Discord?
A couple people that are in my Discord. I don't know.
I didn't slur them.
Do you think it's okay to use slurs?
I didn't slur them.
I absolutely believe Rosie. 110%. I believe that
Who did I slur?
That you called Rosie the F slur. So do you think it's permissible to call people slurs?
Well, I would say if they're in my space, I can kind of say whatever I want. If they're in here, then, they got to fucking deal with the repercussions of joining.
Yeah, so the reason why it's not okay to use slurs... Okay, so just answer my question. Do you think it's permissible to call people slurs?
I don't know. I mean, you called people the N-word when you were little, so what's the difference, bro? You're racist. I'm not.
For sure. I'll absolutely explain it to you. I did use racial slurs when I was younger. When I was 14, I responded to a Fortnite montage.
You're using your age to justify...
By saying, hella goated my N-word. right? We know this, okay? But the difference between you and me is that when I reflect on that, I'm like, that was racist. That was not permissible. That was wrong. Like it's like always so bad for the Republican when this gets brought up, because it's like, that actually was racist. That was impermissible. That was wrong. If you want to know the difference between you and me today, right? It's because I made that recognition when I had the mental capacity of a 15, 16-year-old. I stopped using slurs. I became a better person. And I now share that same education with others today. So do you see how Dean at 15 or 16 actually had more self-awareness, a better conscience, and a higher level of thought of Jared today? Right? And then also, for you to be sitting
Do I get to
and calling me
respond?
racist for saying the N-word, are you homophobic for saying the F-slur?
Bro, you muting me just literally goes against.
Are
like,
you
everything I've
homophobic
said
for
to you.
saying the F-slur?
Huh?
Are you homophobic for saying the F-slur?
I wouldn't say I'm homophobic.
So then why do you think I'm racist?
I would say that I just wait. What do you mean?
So then why do you think I'm racist? This just shows the manufactured outrage of the right. You said Dean is
I
racist.
don't
because he
hate
used racial
people
slurs
on
when
the
he's younger.
basis. I don't hate people on the basis that they like the same sex. I disagree with it so much that I'm trying to cancel it and make sure that they get the treatment that they need to realize
No,
that they're wrong.
I want you to answer my question, and that's also vehemently homophobic. So I'm going to kick you after you fucking embarrass yourself. So how can I be racist for using racial slurs when I was younger, but you're not homophobic for using homophobic slurs today?
I mean, yeah, if you're a racist, then I'm a homophobe. Whatever.
Okay,
You're
so
racist.
you recognize that there's a logical contradiction there.
I mean,
And
you're
have a
racist.
question. Do you think? So I have a question. What can I do to stop being racist?
I mean, I think it's instilled in you. You know, you're a white privileged man. So I mean, I think you inherit. You inherit racism already.
Okay,
You know?
so if I didn't slur when I was younger, I'd still be racist today?
According to the left, you would. So yeah.
Oh, so you actually can't defend the position that I'm racist because you can't answer my question on what I have to do that I haven't already to stop being racist.
Is
So
this your
instead,
way of
you
like
have
getting
to-
out of defining what a woman?
So you can't tell me, so you can't defend the position that Dean's racist because you actually can't answer the question of what does Dean have to do to stop being racist that I haven't already done. So instead you just have to pivot to making a mockery of the left and saying, oh, according to the left, you're racist because you're white and it's inherent to your race. So I want you to
This is your way of defining a woman.
Jared thinks that I'm racist. What does Jared think I have to do to stop being racist that I haven't already done? If you answer that question, I'll tell you what a woman is.
What do I think you have to do to stop being racist?
Yeah.
Is that your question? Well, I mean, I've told you, I think you're inherently racist according to the left. So
I'm asking you what Jared thinks, not according to the left, according to Jared.
what I think, I mean, I don't think you're racist just because you said the N-word.
Okay. Well, we're just going to go to kick you because you're like a really sick fuck. In fact, we're going to stop having him up on the live. Like, I'm just like listening to that shit, like saying that he thinks that like gay people need to go to treatment to get better. And I'm like looking at my Discord right now of like literal screenshots of him slurring people. Like, this is so incredibly like fucking sick. Yeah, like that's just so gross. What's up, Kylie? Did you vote for Trump? Well, I personally disagree. Like, I don't think that that's sufficient reason, and they left because they were scared. Get fucked on, Kylie. Yeah, you got dunked on sub 10 seconds. You knew that your point was going to get absolutely disputed. That's right. We're going to move on to our next guest. Everybody do just kind of give us a minute. We got Spammy Whammy account 4 loading up into the box. Everybody just do give us a minute. If you do want to support me, my Venmo as well as my PayPal are in my bio, quite frankly. That's right. Hey, what's going on? Did you vote for Trump? Okay, it was only funny the first time. We're gonna move on to our next guest. Loki, should we just like do a Q&A? Because obviously this shit ain't working. Lewis, thank you for the $2 in Venmo saying that I'm cooking this loser. I appreciate you, Lewis. Ashley with the $10 in Venmo saying woof. Sid with the $2 saying how long did the main account get banned for? It got banned for a week, but I'm like really trying to get it back. Actually, I'm gonna respond to a text about that. We can help with that. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to try to get that back. Debate, please. Okay. All right. We are going to do debates. That's right. We will. We'll do it. I love you guys that much. We will do debates. What topic do you want to see? Drop it down below. We could do anything. This is like a sandbox day where we could debate anything because we don't like care about like push or whatever. Just tell me what you want me to debate and I'll debate it. It's here's the sandbox day. I will debate whatever's the most popular down below. Willow, thank you for the $50 donation on Venmo. Willow, I really appreciate you so much for the love. Willow says, happy Thanksgiving, Dean, from a mom who always watches and learns from you every day. Don't let this stupidity get you down. Keep cooking. Willow, I appreciate you so much for the $50 donation for Thanksgiving. I'm incredibly thankful for you. I'm incredibly thankful for everybody. Please show Willow some love in the comment section while I'm reading through your suggestions for a topic. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, Willow. Willow. Okay. The most frequently sent message in the chat is abortion. I'm also seeing a lot of religion and LGBTQ+. So I actually can't debate LGBTQ+ anymore, you guys. TikTok doesn't let me. It's fucked. It's like TikTok doesn't let you say gay. TikTok doesn't let you engage with his arguments. They'll ban you for it. It's bad. I know. Religion? A lot of people saying religion. We haven't done a religious debate in a while. Should we try it out? We haven't done a religious debate in like so very long. Should we do it for fun? Yeah? Cool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and restart the stream. We're going to go ahead and debate religion for a little bit. We're just going to have some fun. I'll be right back.
I forgot who to join. I already copied somebody else's name.
If you are Christian, because we only really want to debate Christians, I'm just going to keep it a buck with you guys. We're just here to debate Christians. If you are a Christian, hop in that queue. But I would prefer like conservative Christians. And I want to tell you why. I don't care what religion you are if you don't promote harm with it. That's all. My grandmother, my fabulous Democrat grandmother, is a Christian, and I love her to bits and pieces. And I wish that more Christians could be like her, because it's not about telling you that what you believe in is harmful, wrong, and false, and you're a bad person if you're just a Christian on its own. There's so many good messages in the gospel. So many. But it's when it's misapplied. But for all of my fans in here that have been watching my streams to do with politics, to do with feminism, that are Christian yourselves, this is something that we politely disagree on. And we could totally have those disagreements. There's nothing wrong with it. My only issue is with people that misapply it to cause harm. So for everyone being like, hell nah, L. Dean, if you're a fan of the content, this is finally something that we could respectfully disagree on. And I love you, Democrat Christians. You guys are like the best thing ever. You guys are the best thing ever for Christianity. Phenomenal. But let's see if we could get one of those rednecks. You know what I mean. Let's go and get our first guest of the day up in here, y'all. For the 2.1 thousand people double tapping away on that phone screen, guys, make sure that we are double tapping. Let's go and get our first guest of the day up in here, Cole White. All right, we got him loaded in here. Yeah, dude. Let's see it. For all my leftist Democrat Christians, put a W in the chat. I just want to see you. I just wanted to see you and tell you that I appreciate you. If you're a leftist Democrat Christian, put a W down below in the chat. Let me see who you are. Look at all those beautiful people. I love you all. Look at all those people putting W's. I love you all. What's up, Cole? Are you a Christian?
Hello?
What's up, man?
Hello?
Okay, all right. Cole's not here. Look at that. I love all of you guys. You guys are great. This is one of those respectful disagreements. This isn't like any other topic that I run. If you're a Trump supporter and you disagree, you cause harm. If you're a misogynist and you disagree, you cause harm. If you're a Democrat
Dean,
Christian and you disagree, respectful disagreement. What's up, man?
Hey, man. So I'm not particularly conservative when it comes to like American politics. I'm more like a moderate person, but nevertheless, I'm a Christian. And I talked to you before on your server specifically about the logical problem of evil that you had presented. And I'd like to like debate this particular topic, the logical problem of evil, because I think that generally speaking, the best way to go about this situation is evidentialist arguments.
not the fucking Phil bro conversation on the public live. Okay, I will have this. I'll have this conversation for like 5-10 minutes max.
Sure, we can go ahead and talk about logical problem of evil if you want for 10 minutes or so. That's fine. Can you run your argument really quickly for logical problem of evil?
Let's see if I remember. Let's see. It's been a while. It's been a long time. Yeah. Do you think that all things considered that the Holocaust shouldn't have occurred?
Yeah. I think that all things considered, the Holocaust shouldn't have occurred. If by all things considered,
And the logical problem here would be the case is that anything that all things considered shouldn't have occurred, and which is logically possible, right? God wouldn't allow. And the reason that I'd say that is because God only allows things that he thinks should occur in this all things considered sense, given that he's all good.
Yeah, I don't think that I would grant this second one. I think that God might allow things that all things considered might not be good, right? Like they're inherently bad, for example, but they're conducive to some sort of greater good. But that doesn't mean in this all things considered sense.
Well, if it's conducive towards a greater good, then all things considered, right? It would be considered good because
I don't
it
think
should occur in this all things considered sense. Because if it's conducive towards the greater good, if it didn't occur, the greater good wouldn't be accomplished.
Yeah,
whereby it should occur.
But
And
that's
when we're just speaking about
doesn't follow.
what we mean by good and bad, we're just saying what should and shouldn't occur.
I don't think that follows. And the reason why I don't think that follows is that you're committing yourself to a sort of consequentialist schema on this, where the only thing that matters whenever we consider an act good or bad are the consequences of an act and not the act itself or the intentions behind an act. So whenever you say, for example, that it's only conducive to some sort of greater good, you're going to commit yourself to the position that the Holocaust should have happened. Right? You're going to, like, this is a sort of corollary of your position, given some sort of historical fact, for example, that if the Holocaust didn't happen, the UNSS movement would have died down, and the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights was not going to happen, right? Because this was a direct consequence of the horrors that we saw in World War II, right? So the fact that this saved millions and millions of people, right? And so it's conducive to some sort of greater good. You're going to commit yourself to that. And the very fact that you have like this sort of consequentialist schema, the fact that you have...
So you're reducing consequentialism down to, like, what is it?
The only thing that matters is the consequences.
There's rule utilitarianism and what is the other form of utilitarianism?
Act utilitarianism.
Act utilitarianism. So you're reducing consequentialism down to act utilitarianism, which isn't necessarily the case. You could be a consequentialist while still holding on to a framework in which would uphold particular rules. For instance, consider rule utilitarianism. One can make a sound argument that given rule utilitarianism, it is the case that the Holocaust shouldn't have occurred. But if you want to know what my particular framework would be, I am a threshold deontologist, meaning that I think that there are absolute moral principles, while in some cases we can also consider the consequences of an event or use the consequences of an event to generate goodness or badness.
Right.
I'm a Rossian pluralist. But as this would relate to, your view on God, you're saying, well, the view of making these considerations in this all things considered sense would necessarily invoke consequentialism. I don't believe that my framework is one of a consequentialist nature, and I rather believe that there is Kantian deontics and absolutes present within my God's moral dictation. There's still some issues there.
Sure, I could grant that there's some sort of absolutes, but I think that you have committed yourself to this sort of like consequentialist schema, precisely because you're saying that the only thing that matters in this situation, whenever we consider this thing as all things considered
remember,
good,
it's an internal critique. So
yeah, but a Christian is not committed to consequentialism, though.
Well, that's the argument that you're making. But what I'm disputing, one moment, and I don't disagree with you that Christians are not committed to consequentialism. What I'm disagreeing with is that you're saying I've committed myself to this. I haven't committed myself to any particular moral view as I'm running an internal critique.
Yeah, the thing is that if you're running this internal critique, I don't think this works as an internal critique, as I mentioned before, because Christians are not committed to this consequentialist schema. But if you're going to like run this, right, and posit this, if you're saying that this sort of schema is like a rebuttal.
That Christians are not committed to consequentialist schema, right? Yeah. And if you thereby argue that Christians are not committed to consequentialist schema and rather uphold a Kantian deontic view, the issues insofar as why that's not the case, or why that's something you shouldn't do. Let me remember. It's been a while. I remember the critique. What are the issues with Kantian deontology given Christianity?
Well, you don't have to.
It means that God still thinks that the Holocaust should occur, or else it is the case that he wouldn't allow it, but he's just indifferent to gratuitous evil.
Well, I don't think that.
Do you think that
actually,
God's indifferent to gratuitous evil?
No, I don't think that God is indifferent to gratuitous evils. But I don't think also that this follows.
So
right.
then that would commit you to consequentialism. Because if Kantian deontology would follow, right, God would be indifferent to gratuitous evil, as this ultimate consideration would be only that of one principle, the principle that guided that the Holocaust should occur, given that he allowed it to occur, meaning that he would be indifferent to those killed.
So one thing is that this argument doesn't actually follow, right? That I don't think that the very fact that I actually don't see any connective whatsoever that you're implementing here in your argument, right? You're saying that because God allows gratuitous evils to happen and gratuitous evils shouldn't have happened, therefore committing myself to that consequentialist schema, I don't see how that follows at all, right? I think that
I don't think that you're listening to me, because I said that you don't have to commit yourself to the consequentialist schema.
Well, you said that I am.
One moment. No. I need you to listen. I said that you don't have to commit yourself to the consequentialist schema. Could very easily argue Kantian deontology and how that would apply to absolute principles given your God's moral perspective. However, it is the case that you do commit yourself to Kantian deontology given your God's perspective on morality, well, you'd say because God allowed the Holocaust to occur, he'd be indifferent to the gratuitous evils in which would follow given the Holocaust. But as you asserted the premise that God is not indifferent to the gratuitous evils that would follow given the Holocaust, you would say that God is different to them, he doesn't like them, and as God doesn't like them, he thinks that they shouldn't occur, there is some other schema, right, different from absolute moral principles, because if God was to hold to absolute moral principles, he would see those gratuitous evils as indifferent, because the principle would ultimately dictate that greater evil, quote unquote, what I'd call evil, what he would call a good thing, should occur.
Well, I don't think that follows at all. And the reason why I don't think that follows at all is because we can posit, for example, there is a morally sufficient reason for him to allow evil, right? Which is what I was referring to you before, right? When I mentioned, like, for example, the free will defense.
Morally sufficient reason to allow evil. Okay.
Yeah.
So the statement, morally sufficient reason to allow evil. So
yeah,
a morally sufficient reason, and you reference the greater good, right?
Yeah. That's one of the morally sufficient. That's what would grant, I guess, a morally sufficient reason to allow evil, or even a gratuitous evil, right, in order to preserve some sort of good or something like that, or maybe use this evil, right, for some sort of ultimate purpose that is ultimately good. But I don't think that by in fact allowing evil, this actually runs counter to a sort of Kantian deontology at all. Right, because the Kantian deontologists might say, for example, that you're not in fact acting out on evil by acting out in an evil manner by allowing evil, right? Because it's this little.
Can you repeat that and talk a little bit slower?
So sure.
I don't understand what you're saying. You're good.
Yeah, you're good. So I don't think that by allowing evil, God is committing himself to the position that, I guess, there's some absolute principle that's being violated or something like that. I'm not committing myself to that at all, right? I think that you can say, for example, that God's permitting of evil is being done in order to preserve some sort of greater good or something like that, like a sort of calculation. And so insofar as a greater good is being obtained, he might allow some gratuitous evil. But the thing that you're saying with the logical problem of evil is that somehow
under Kantian deontology, we're just going to make a consideration of rights. Would you agree?
Sure, we can take consideration of rights, but I don't think that this is actually relevant, right? Precisely because whenever...
Would you allow me to finish? Because you're making a consideration of a moral calculus. And I don't think that you can make a consideration of moral calculus under absolute Kantian deontology. Would you disagree?
I think I would disagree, yeah.
Okay, so there's moral, you could make some moral calculus based upon a consequent of a future action that's going to be derivative of an apparent evil or good under absolute Kantian deontology. I think maybe that's where it starts falling apart. Because when I think of absolute Kantian deontology, I look at something that's very binary. I'm like, okay, is this a rights violation or is this not a rights violation? Or whatever your rule book is for determining these absolute goods or bads. And when you step into the equation and you make the argument, well, we could commit to Kantian deontology in this absolute sense, but still make these moral valuations derivative of the consequences of your actions, and we're going to be running this calculus to determine if it truly plays into the grand scheme. It sounds like you're just literally calling some form of consequentialism absolute Kantian deontology. That makes no sense.
Well, for one, I think that a lot of Kantian deontologists are actually committing themselves to a sort of rural utilitarianism. And so I think that even if we run Kantian deontology, we might be actually positing that these absolute principles are just corresponding to some actual like rule, right? Which is what deontology is about. But either way, I don't think that by making a calculus, I'm saying that the only thing that matters is the consequences. Ergo, I'm not saying that the only thing that matters, I'm not committing myself to a consequentialist schema, right? Which is just that to say that the consequences are the only thing that matters. I'm simply saying that the consequences.
I understand that you're not saying that you're not committing yourself to a consequentialist schema. I'm saying that you're describing a consequentialist schema under Kantian deontology. Because when you make the in the argument that you're making, you're saying that like under Kantian deontology, like there's this absolute principle that the greater good needs to be achieved in the eyes of God, right? And anything in which would follow under this principle, anything in which would follow to achieve this end goal of the greater good should be permissed. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's one case you can make for like Kantian deontologist view. But this is distinction.
But is that the case that you hold to? Because what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to understand, right, like Kantian deontology as you're describing it and how it conforms to your view. So when I'm asking you, is this what you're describing to me? I just need a yes or a no. Because if this isn't what you're describing to me, then we could kind of step back and I could like reevaluate what I think that you're saying until I've like adequately described your position. So when you say that,
this is not like you mentioned.
So just I'm going to repeat that, and I want you to clarify after I repeat it.
Sure.
So you're saying that there are things called gratuitous evils, but God allows them or God permits them because of this thing called the greater good. Because if the gratuitous evil didn't occur, then the greater good wouldn't be achieved. But you're also saying that you're a Kantian deontologist, meaning that there's this absolute principle that the greater good should be achieved, and that anything in which would be necessary in whatever modal scope to achieve such greater good should be permissed. Is that your position?
No, I'm not a Kantian deontologist, but you had brought up that you are a kind of Kantian deontologist, right? So you made this as a sort of critique for like my position, but I don't particularly commit myself to that Kantian deontology. But my position is that God may permit this in order to like obtain some sort of greater good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is like somehow a logical problem of evil, right? It just means that this is kind of like unexpected under theism, which is why we would run an evidentialist argument, not a logical problem of evil.
Okay, so what you're telling me now is like that position ultimately wouldn't be wouldn't align with wouldn't hold, right? And you're exactly right. I agree. That position wouldn't hold. So like here's my take where I stand right now. I think that the LOP as I've described it right now can absolutely apply to various views, worldviews of the Christian God, and there would be some typological contradiction that would be derived out of 99% of them. For that remainder of the 1%, I'm sure that one can be derived, and I'm sure if you were to come up with my live 6 months ago, I would have been able to describe the contradiction to you. I just haven't argued this topic in so long, so I'm trying to gain my wits. But what I'm saying is that the conception of the Christian God that you've described so far in this live would be logically impossible to exist, given that you think God doesn't like gratuitous evils, because that would contradict the normative view that you've described of morality. And if you want to continue to hold to this view of the greater good, and this, then we could describe the implications in there. I guess the question that I'm asking is, what is your view of the Christian God that you believe in? Insofar as that's what I want to dispute. And if you could tell me your view of the Christian God, I could dispute it.
I'm more interested in like classical theism, bare bones, right? And I think that if you're going to like posit some sort of like actual contradiction between like the attributes of God or some sort of like moral principle, then you're going to have to just specifically like classify about God's ontology or something like that. Something about God's ontology. Otherwise, we're just going to be like running arguments for a particular moral theory or something of the sort. And I think that this particular view of like the greater good actually still holds, even with a logical problem of evil, like you presented. I don't see like any actual contradiction being posited here.
Yeah, if you think that all things considered, the Holocaust should have occurred because of the greater good, given that you hold a consequentialism, or given that you hold to some deontic view that you think that God's indifferent to the gratuitous evil caused
But
by
that's the
greater good.
thing. Yeah, that's the thing that I have mentioned.
And then at that point, if you would admit and concede that God is indifferent to like the evils caused under it, not only is that an absurdity, but there's also further issues that could be derived from that.
Yeah, I didn't say that God is indifferent. I don't think that I actually have to.
And that's a contradiction. That's a contradiction.
No,
yes.
that's not a contradiction because I could say that God
I
is.
tell you why.
I could explain because we can be like not indifferent to something, right? Something bad happened, for example. I might be like a parent or something of this sort, and I like don't want my child to like run around and fall and get hurt or something of this sort, but I might allow it, right? Because I want him to have fun or something of this sort. So like I don't think that this is actually like any sort of contradiction for us to posit the idea that God may not like this, but nevertheless allows it to happen. There's a distinction, obviously, between allowing something to happen and doing some sort of evil. And I don't think that saying that the Holocaust shouldn't have happened in any way commits us to saying that this is some sort of thing which is pro-toto good.
I don't think that pro-tanto and pro-toto...
Even if it leads to some
I
sort
think
of
that
good.
pro-tanto and pro-toto evils are complete gibberish, incoherent bullshit. If you'd conceive of like this deontic view, of like this like deontic view of a god. The reason that I say that is, would God allow something that would violate the greater good and would lead to something that's overall bad?
We gotta. That's what you're asking. If God would allow that something to that's overall bad.
That's a new question. I haven't asked this.
Yeah,
Would God allow
yes.
something that would violate the greater good and not lead to the greater good?
I can be like totally like agnostic of this, but I'm inclined to say yes, that God would not allow it.
God wouldn't allow it. I agree.
Yeah.
Shrin, I appreciate you for the $1 PayPal. And as far as I'm concerned, we can only say that God doesn't like those things because those violate this like ultimate maxim of the greater good. But if anything doesn't violate this ultimate maxim of the greater good, why would we say God would have distaste for them?
If something doesn't violate it, I think that we could say that this is like a first order analysis of like this particular moral act. We might say that the act itself is bad, even if it leads to some sort of greater good.
What does bad mean there?
Yeah, so bad would mean that it runs counter to some sort of like end that we might have intrinsically, right? So for example,
Yes, I agree with you. Bad in this sense would mean counter to an end. But it's not counter to an end if it would lead to the greater
well,
good.
it would be. It would
It's
be
actually
right?
conducive to the end.
Actually, so we could say that it's bad in account of like some sort of end that we have as humans, for example, an end to live. But I think that it might be good in account of its consequences. That's why we might make this distinction, right? Where something can be good and bad in account of some sort of specified thing, which can like predicate good and badness too. So it might be good.
You just said that. So it's good
for
because of its
example,
consequences.
let me
that's not
finish.
concept deontology.
Let me finish real quickly. So we can say, for example, we can distinguish like the goodness and the badness of an act or an event in three ways. We can say the intentions of an act are good or bad. The act itself is good or bad, and then the consequences of an act is good or bad. And so we can like distinguish it this way and say that the consequences of an evil act, right? Say, for example, the
My
Holocaust.
statement is so much easier than this.
Well,
Because
can
the
I finish my
intentions,
statement?
the actions, and the outcome, it doesn't matter. Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because God's only going to have dislike towards something if it would violate this maxim principle of not for the greater good. If it falls outside of being conducive
Well, I
towards the
don't
greater
think.
good,
Yeah.
he doesn't like it.
I don't think that that's the only like maxim that's actually at play here, or the only thing that actually the only end that matters, right? Whenever we make like moral.
But remember,
judgments.
can you have contradicting moral axioms under like this under this Kantian deontic worldview? No, you can't have contradicting moral axioms. So if something is conducive towards maxim number one of the greater good, but not conducive towards another trivial maxim number two, whatever is logically possible for God to conceive of,
It would be
that'd
bad
a
in account of.
contradiction in moral. But that would be a contradiction in moral axioms, and you can't have those in accordance with Kantian deontology because there's no way to resolve them.
Well, I don't think that I'd have to like again. I don't commit myself to a Kantian deontologist view. I don't know what
Okay,
you're.
stop saying that. Just stop arguing it because you're
Well,
saying
I'm
that
not-
this
I'm not
view.
e- so
one
I'm
second.
not-
You're
I'm
saying
not
that this
arguing.
view of like this Kantian deontic God, right, is a logically possible explanation that would rule out the LOPE. But I'm showing you how it doesn't rule out the LOPE by positing that God would necessarily have to be indifferent towards these gratuitous evils. In fact, the concept of a gratuitous evil is complete gibberish in accordance with this view. But what makes the contradiction, meaning that it's in accordance with the LOPE, is the fact that you're positing that it is both possible for God to be a Kantian deontic, right, and have these maxims that would allot for the permissibility of these gratuitous evils, while simultaneously positing that God cares about these gratuitous evils. That's going to be the contradiction in which would affirm the LOPE under this conception of a God.
Yeah, so that actually is not really how this thing has gone down. Like I have mentioned already, like I don't commit myself to a Kantian deontology view.
I know. So I understand.
I'm not
posited the Kantian deontic
theories.
view.
But what I said was that it God might allow it to happen because of like some sort of greater good. But that doesn't necessarily commit me to like a Kantian deontological ethics, which is.
Wait, aren't you like arguing? Like I understand that you don't commit yourself to this view.
No, I'm saying that
like
this view doesn't entail this.
Yeah, you don't commit yourself to this deontic view of God, but you're positing it because you think it's a possible explanation where the LOP wouldn't apply, right?
Well, I don't think that this really commits me to like deontic ethics at all.
If you're arguing a deontic God, right, for the intensive purpose of disproving the LOPE, for the argument, it does commit you to all views that would follow under Kantian deontology. But like, if an issue is present with this deontic conception to the God, right, that proves the LOPE would apply, well, then of course you could argue some other conception of the God. You just have to first throw this deontic conception out the window.
Again, as I mentioned, like thinking that the greater good is a moral consideration whenever we allow something to happen doesn't really commit me to like Kantian deontology. I don't see how that follows.
So then you're not arguing a deontic conception of a God to counter my
I'm not arguing for Kantian deontology. I'm saying that there's like some particular
so then I don't know what
allow us. Yeah, I'm saying that there's some particular end, which is the greater good, which God might take into consideration when allowing some evil to happen.
So then you're arguing some consequentialist greater good schema to account for the LOP.
It doesn't have to be a consequentialist schema because consequentialism.
If it's not deontic and it's not consequentialist, what the fuck are you committing to?
A moral naturalism.
Moral naturalism.
Yeah.
Is that like a third category of normativity, normative moral views? So you have like deontic views, you have consequentialist views, and then you have like quote unquote naturalist views. So I'm confused on what kind of normative theory of morality that is.
Yeah, so moral naturalism is just natural theory, which is to say that the things, whenever we talk about good or bad, we really refer to like the fulfillment of a practical intention or practical goal or end or function or something of the sort. But then, we have some sort of like intrinsic ends.
But like, is this a deontic view or is this a consequentialist view? Because when we're talking about our normative theories of ethics, they're either deontic or consequentialist.
I don't think that's the truth.
That's what's the third category?
We can have, for example, constructivist.
Then of course, like things between them, like threshold
so
deontology.
If there's things between them, then there's not like binary. So I don't know what exactly your point is.
But threshold deontology would typically still fall under the category of like a deontic view. So what's the outside of a deontic view?
Only binary. Yeah, the binary that's actually like posited in meta ethics is usually a cognitivism or non.
Wait, we're not even talking about meta ethics.
It's not.
Oh well, that's why you're confusing yourself. We're not talking about meta ethics. We're talking about normative ethics. That's why you're fucking confused. We're not talking about your meta ethical view. We're talking about your normative view.
Yeah, my normative ethics doesn't have to follow a deontic or consequentialist view. Like I don't see like what we have to like follow.
that's just so like when we talk about normative ethics in the literature, you won't find could you find me like one
virtue ethics virtue ethics, there you go. We can have like Alistair McIntyre, for example. Alistair McIntyre, Elizabeth Anscombe, like we can go on the literature. So there's more than just consequentialism and deontology, and I do commit myself to virtue ethics.
Okay. For instance, okay, you're right here. So we'd have deontology, consequentialism, and teleology. You're right. Aristotle actually did.
Teleological ethics.
Okay, you actually did make a. So you're right. Actually, Dean's wrong. You're right. There's technically three views. So you have teleology, which virtue ethics would follow under. You have deontology, and you have consequentialism.
And I commit myself to teleological ethics.
Okay, so are you saying that there's a teleological conception of the Christian God that will disprove the LOPE?
Yeah, I think that when we take this into account like teleological conceptions of like good or bad, we can.
Okay, I don't know anything about teleology, so I can't run the LLP.
Jesus Christ! All right,
That's a
I don't
new
even
one.
know.
that's a new. I've never heard teleology.
You've never heard of
appeal
Aristotelian
to.
ethics, man. I'm about to like.
I haven't studied them. I've never heard virtue ethics depicted in the Christian conception of a god, in so far as to disprove.
Yeah, so I mean, I even I even explained like part of it, the distinctions which we might make like virtue and like virtue ethics and teleological ethics would take into consideration like the intentions, the act itself, and the consequences. So it could be bad in account of the act, right? We can say that killing somebody is bad, right? But even we can say that, for example, some of the consequences of killing someone, innocent person, would be that we save a number of people. Right, and that would be good in account of its consequences, but bad in account of the acts. And there's no contradiction because
I have a question. Where do you see? Do you think that the Ten Commandments are consistent with virtue ethics?
Yeah, I think that the Ten Commandments are consistent with teleological ethics and virtue ethics, but I think that also teleological ethics can like inform.
I might disagree. I think that there's because virtue ethics, right? Those aren't going to be like predicated on the like consequences of an action. The violation of like a principle. Virtue ethics are going to be like predicated based upon like the traits or virtues of a person's character, and I think it's like logically conceivable to say that it is the case that it is possible to violate the Ten Commandments while having still instilled like virtues in your character, that if it were to conform with virtue ethics would not dictate it as bad. Like for instance, lying would be a great example. The reason I believe that virtue ethics are incompatible with Christian theology is because in accordance with the Ten Commandments, lying is always wrong. Okay? Right? However, right, you could conform to virtue ethics and say that it was virtuous for those housing Anne Frank to lie to the Nazi foot soldiers asking if there's any Jewish person hid in their house. Virtue ethics would tell you that that was a good lie to tell. However, in accordance with the seemingly maxim rules of the Ten Commandments, that would be bad. So I don't think that, ultimately speaking, virtue ethics is compatible with Christian theology.
So I think that you can run virtue ethics and some sort of other concept of theological ethics in account of some of the distinction between formal and material goods, which the Aristotelians make. So, for example, we might say that this would be like a formal bad thing to happen whenever you violate some sort of like virtue in account of it violating some sort of like thing about your will, some sort of end that your will has. Or you might say that
violating what virtue is being violated when you lie to the Nazi foot soldiers?
No, I'm saying that a virtue that might be violated here might be like something like honesty, right? So that would be a virtue.
Sure. So it's like the Ten Commandments, the commandment that tells you not to lie. It's
an
virtue of honesty.
To be honest, you know. So I mean
Yeah.
You can even like again, like I said, like we can posit like the teleological ethics can like. I have no idea why you're specifically laughing because your argument doesn't like particularly make a lot of sense.
No, dude, I'm just having fun. Like
I see.
The reason why I'm having fun is because I think my argument does make sense. And the reason that I'm laughing is because we've just kind of been going on this trail where you're trying to find like anything to posit that it is possible for a God to exist under these conditions, and I'm just having fun with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so long as we can posit
I'm
that it's
not
possible.
laughing at you. I'm just laughing because of how much fun this is.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've
No,
done
I
this.
appreciate.
So do you think that God's a virtue ethicist?
What exactly do you mean by that? Do you think that what is good for God or what is good about God it has to do with some sort of virtue? Is that what you're referring to, or do you think that it's like some sort of like belief condition?
Like when we say God's all good, we're just saying that God is all virtuous.
We could say that, or we could say, yeah, His will is like always like virtuous. When we're talking about like virtue, we're referring to some sort of characteristic of the will, not specifically material goods or material bads, and that's where teleology might come into like play.
Okay, an issue with this, for instance, let's just take 1 Samuel 15:3, where God tells Saul and his men to kill the Amalekites. An issue that may be present here, if we would assume virtue ethics in accordance with God's commandment, is like they absolutely were killing the Amalekite people, violating the same intrinsic virtues within their character that we would in a colloquial sense of murder today.
So yeah,
You'd have to make a distinction here and say, well, the reason in which that was justified is either because God commanded it, okay, but this means that virtues are described as God would define them, right? And this seems to present issues with us. Like, how could God define a virtue to kill an Amalekite being good, yet define the same virtue to kill a non-Amalekite to be bad? That seems really confusing. I think the most obvious solution here would be that, well, it is because killing the Amalekites ultimately amassed to some greater good. And
Well,
I actually don't think that you're either like, you know, illogical or a liar, because earlier you told me that within your own conception of the Christian creator, you value the greater good and its consequence. That would not be valuable under a worldview in which virtue ethics are true.
Yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I think that teleological ethics and virtue ethics are totally like something which you can make sense of together. They can both be true in account of like them being like virtue being predicated.
So we can allow certain actions.
You said quite a lot. You said quite a lot. So I want to address some of the points that you made. So you have mentioned about like the situation with the Amalekites, and you said that the most obvious way to like say this is like coherent, right, with like virtue ethics or teleologies with regards to like some sort of like greater good. But I don't think that I'm actually committed to like the idea that the killing of the Amalekites actually happened, right? I'm like a Christian fundamentalist, and so like I don't have to like take up this hermeneutical approach that you're taking in order to interpret this as something that like historically happened or that is actually the case. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Samuel didn't happen.
Yeah, no, a lot of like I think that the actual historical consensus with like the scholars is actually this sort of stuff that didn't actually happen. There's like nil.
Well, actually, you're onto something. There's no archaeological evidence of a I don't know
of a genocide
of the Amalekite people.
Yeah.
You know, if we really want to dig into it, there's also no archaeological evidence of a mass migration of millions of Jewish people from Egypt
I agree.
to Israel over 70 years. So it seems like there's a lot of dialogue in like Exodus that didn't happen. And then of course we know that like Genesis and young Earth creation.
And you know what?
Like, just allow me to finish. So seemingly a lot of the dialogue in the Old Testament is unjustified. But now if we're going to use the standard of historical evidence and archaeological proof to suggest, the like an event occurring or not, even if it's written in the Bible, I'd say that there's a lack of historicity revolving around Jesus' resurrection.
Well, I think that we can judge if we grant, for example, I think that Richard Swinburne actually has like some sort of like Bayesian calculations regarding this particular subject in his book, The Existence of God, and while simultaneously positing that there's like historical events that are described in the Bible. One can
no,
be...
you could do that, but we just have to maintain consistency. So Samuel didn't happen because of the lack of the archaeological evidence. So if we are to judge if an event occurred or not occurred, one moment. If we are to judge if an event occurred or not occurred inside of the Christian Bible due to lack of or presence of archaeological evidence, what would be the archaeological evidence, or in a more general sense, the historical evidence to justify the resurrection?
There you go. So I might say, for example, which is what Richard Swinburne actually says. We can appeal like the testimony or like multiple like other witnesses. We can appeal like the testimony of like his brother, which Josephus had met. We can appeal, for example, to the likelihood of this happening. If not just from like historical evidence, we can just use like a Bayesian matrix like actually judge this posterior probability of like this event happening. By just saying like if God exists, then we would expect.
We'll get onto the zero probability later. I want to talk about
not zero probability, posterior probability. I'm sorry, maybe I'm not clear.
So your two things are Josephus's testimony of within the iniquities of the Jew, which is the collections of Josephus's work surrounding like all the evidence to justify Christianity, Jesus, etc. that he wrote, and then also like the eyewitness testimony. So the eyewitness testimony was one moment. Katie, I appreciate you for the future encounter. You said that. Well, first of all, about Josephus, it's also a historical consistency that a lot of his work was later introduced and was a forgery, and that would include everything in the Antiquities of the Jew revolving Josephus having testimony and companionship with any brother of Jesus. That's historically supported. You can't dispute that.
Yes,
That's unanimous consensus. Even
no,
amongst Christian communities.
the consensus.
Then about the eyewitness testimony. There's no eyewitness testimony of Jesus in his life.
It's actually both of those claims are actually wrong. So for one, the consensus among historians is that there has been additions and like addendums to Josephus's work. Yeah, interpolations to Josephus's work. But this particular line doesn't seem to be an interpolation. And in fact, Bart Ehrman actually talks about this quite extensively. And he's like Bible scholarship 101, right? He has mentioned again that we have like this sort of writing from this person that's actually quite valid for us to use.
Give me.
What?
I want it. You're saying that there's writings by Josephus that we can confirm as authentic, speaking to Jesus's brother about Jesus's divinity?
Not speaking about Jesus' divinity, but speaking about the events that transpired in like the
what events?
The resurrection, for example.
The resurrection divinity.
But the fact that Jesus himself, no, it doesn't necessarily follow that he's like divine just from the resurrection. But he did mention like the events that transpired in Judea, right?
Did he mention resurrection? What did he mention?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and like see if I can look this up for you really quickly.
Wait, no, this is like groundbreaking news. So actually, chat, I guess we are all discovering on live that there is verified, authentic, historical text from a Jewish scholar by the name of Josephus, in which Josephus wrote about personally discussing with Jesus's brother about miracles of Jesus's.
Not just about miracles of Jesus, but specifically about like Jesus's lives. But we not only do we have that.
That's
right,
what I think it is. That's what it probably is. It's probably about just the fact that Jesus was a real person.
Yeah. But then again, like that just testifies.
So I asked you for evidence about resurrection, not that Jesus was a real person.
That would be actually if we like actually like judge this like a Bayesian matrix.
Shut up. Was Prophet Muhammad a real person?
Yeah, he was a real person.
Well, if we judge this on Bayesian measures.
Yeah, if we judge it on like Bayesian measures, we might say that the fact that Muhammad was a real person does raise the posterior probability of like the miracle claims of Muhammad, right? But that's not necessarily sufficient for us like say that this is like the most likely candidate for like what actually happened, right?
Yeah, I would say the same thing for Jesus.
Yeah, so like I said, you asked for evidence for like the resurrection of Jesus, right? You didn't say that like this had to like push our posterior probability to the point where it's like high levels of credence or something of the sort, which isn't really what you asked. You just asked for evidence.
Okay, evidence that would meet a threshold of holding to a justified belief that it occurred, meaning more likely than not.
Yeah. So I think that Swinburne's argument actually is one of the best when it comes like the.
Wait, but you were just talking about Josephus and eyewitness testimony. What the hell happened to that?
The reason why I pointed this out is because Swinburne uses this as part of his argument for why we have like evidence for like Jesus' resurrection and why we might think that we have like evidence for like Jesus' resurrection.
Well, about Josephus's writing, I'm just gonna grant. I don't think you're telling the truth, but I'm gonna grant you that somewhere in Josephus's writing, there's verified and authentic. Noor, thank you for you're amazing. Text that would justify that there was an historical encounter between this Jewish historian and a brother of Jesus to account for Jesus's life. Fine, I actually believe that Jesus was a real person. Anyways, you don't even need to convince me on that, but you've just given me new evidence I haven't heard before. Awesome. Okay, and then like secondly about the eyewitness.
We can talk about the eyewitness now, right?
Yeah, eyewitness. There's no eyewitness testimony of Jesus' life.
Well, I think that the New Testament does actually correspond to like some sort of eyewitness testimony. In fact, we have, as a matter of fact,
that's false. The earliest evidence that we'd have, insofar as the New Testament being written, it was like P152. It is less than a credit card size of text from Matthew, and that was 150 years after he died. We cannot attribute the New Testament writings to any point before P52, and we definitely cannot assume, based upon the texts provided, written years after Jesus died and in a generation or two had passed, that would relate to any eyewitness testimony.
If you're talking about
that is probably the hardest argument for a Christian to ever make is to justify.
I don't think so at all.
Eyewitness testimony.
And so I don't think so at all, right? And I think that what you have mentioned before is just like that the codices that we have, like the earliest codices that we have. But generally speaking, like scholars actually date this writing to about like 20 years or so.
That any scholar has ever presented, and this is Christian theologians with bias, is going to be 77 AD.
Yeah.
I mean, died in 32.
That doesn't seem, yeah. So I said like 20, like 40 years or something like that. I was off by like 10 years, and my maximum estimate. There you go. So 77 or something like that. But then we have, for example,
are you going to Bayesian probability your way to assuming that not only was that bias perspective that is different from the status quo, with once again less than a credit card of Matthew, 130 AD. Less than a credit card of Matthew is going to relate to someone that had personally lived alongside Jesus?
I was actually going to go ahead and present to you some other like corroborating accounts of like this being written by the apostles, but from contemporaneous sources. I'm not sure if you're... Yeah. So we have fragments of Papias Hierapolis' writings. Papias Hierapolis was a student of John the Apostle, direct student of John the Apostle. He had in his testimony the fragments of Papias Hierapolis, as written by Eusebius. He had mentioned in there, Eusebius of Caesarea, he had mentioned in there that Mark was the writer of, or the interpreter of Peter. Right.
Wait, 1 second. Whose student was it?
Student of John the Apostle, or John the Evangelist. There's actually, I guess in the literature, there's like a sort of contention about what
John the Evangelist. Wait, that was is John the Evangelist. That is what it is just John the Apostle, right?
That's actually that's what I was going to say. Like, there's actually like in the literature a lot of like question about whether he's speaking about John of Patmos, John the Evangelist, John the Elder, whether these are just the same person. But I think the Papias in his writing, I think like James Papandrea, right, who's a biblical scholar, he mentions that Papias, as far as he's concerned, might be just referring to the same person, John the Apostle, which is John the Evangelist, which is John of Patmos, etc., etc. But nevertheless, John Papias Hierapolis, right? He writes that Mark was the interpreter or the writer of like Peter, and Peter was just like giving away or speaking all the things that he had witnessed to him, a sort of like aleatory way, and
so we have
Matthew is
we have writing from a long time ago that we think is from a student of a guy named John.
Who is? I mean, we don't just think.
It is the student of a guy named John. That who claims that might be John the Apostle. That maybe states that some person named.
Not that maybe states, but that states.
I find that to be an incredibly unconvincing argument.
But states explicitly. I mean, I'm not particularly care too much about it being convincing to you, right? I'm just speaking about it being a sufficient argument, which is like the issue.
I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you believe like E. Jean Carroll when it like relating to politics? Do you believe her testimony about Donald Trump raping her? Because like I don't know, like that's an issue. That's an issue that I see as soon as we start having these religious discussions. Yeah. That I mean, for a while I was less likely to challenge because I was also entrenched in theological discourse. But now I think I have a bit of a different perspective on it. Like your argument is, this person wrote, as a student of this guy named John, that Matthew wrote the New Testament. This writing could have come a long time after any first-hand accounts of Jesus in his life as described in the gospel came, and he himself could have been a second account making the same claim that the gospel did, but judging off of a singular Bible guy, it might just be a student directly of John the Apostle. And then like saying that is a convincing standard of evidence. It's just like, I feel like your threshold of proof for the historicity events is like so incredibly low then. It's like, we don't even know if this writing came from this time period. And then on top of that, it is just that.
We actually
testimony
know
of one person.
Yeah. So
and if we are to accept like testimony of one person that we could just assume is from this time period, why wouldn't we be led to accept like E. Jean Carroll's testimony? I mean, as like someone that may not think that Donald Trump's a rapist.
So I never said that I don't think that Donald Trump is a rapist.
I said might.
Oh, Yeah, I never said that, right? I haven't looked too much into the case, but I'm generally inclined to like believe the victims of this particular like accusations. But nevertheless, I think that
So
whenever
do you think that Donald Trump's a rapist?
I'm inclined to believe it, right? But I haven't looked too much into like the actual testimony of the sort.
Okay, you're inclined to believe it, but does the testimony exist?
Yeah, the testimony exists.
The testimony exists. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm inclined.
Would,
That's
would
why I'm
you say
inclined
there's
to
reason
believe
to
it.
dispute the testimony?
I haven't looked too much into it.
Would you say
but-
it's possible for there to exist reason to dispute the testimony?
Yeah, sure, sure.
What is possible
possible.
reason that could exist to dispute the testimony?
I mean, when you're speaking like possible, you just mean like logically possible.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. I mean, there might be, for example, I don't know, any kind of like hypothetical scenario in which like a person might have like motives to like accuse somebody falsely. But I don't think that she's like accusing them falsely. So I don't think like that
Okay.
really matters too much.
So would you say that testimony should be sufficient evidence for a great charge to be persecuted criminally? Testimony and testimony alone?
Testimony and testimony alone. I'm not sure. But I think that it definitely like raises like the perceived probability of something happening.
The answer there for you is no, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm agnostic on whether it should be like.
All right, then unfortunately, like, I can't make that argument because you're gonna be agnostic about it. I'm gonna go to move on.
You're gonna move on. All right.
Yeah.
I'll see you then.
I appreciate you for the conversation, man. It's been a while since I've had a conversation about some of the more like nuanced things to do with the philosophy of ethics.
Yeah, but
and,
okay.
God, so
Yeah.
I appreciate you for the conversation, man.
Yeah, I'll see.
But,
I'll see
if
you.
you're,
around.
if
But I'm
you're
inclined
interested
to
of
believe
where
the
that was,
testimony in general.
but if you're just interested where that point was going to go, it'd just
Yeah.
be insofar as like what standard of evidence we could attribute towards testimony. I'm sure
Yeah,
that there's
so-
other ways to dispute, like this papyrus that you're referencing. I've actually never heard about it,
Papyrus reference?
which leads me to believe it's not a mainstream
No,
accepted
it-
source, and you could
it
probably
definitely
find
is.
diffusions from plenty
But
of
here's
historians.
yeah
But
he,
I was making a point, man.
yeah go on.
But once again, like the overwhelming point there was seemingly like you don't attribute a high level of a high level of believability to testimony, or you don't treat testimony as a high standard of evidence, unless it pertains to old papyrus and literature written surrounding your religion.
But I
And
don't think
find
that's
that to be
true.
an issue.
I don't think that's true, right? I think that I've pretty explicitly stated that I'm inclined to believe like the testimony, so it raises like a posterior probability of it being the case. The fact that there's like some people who are going to be speaking about this being having had happened or something.
What
of the
about the
sort.
testimony? What about the
question was
testimony
whether-
surrounding Muhammad being a prophet?
Yeah, I think that would be evidence.
And how do we dispute and distinguish the testimony of Muhammad being a prophet from the testimony of this one guy that one scholar thinks may be the student of someone that knew Jesus while he was alive?
I don't even think that it's like one particular student, but I think that
That was your evidence. Was
Yeah.
one student that might be of John the Apostle?
Well, you didn't let me finish like with like the actual argument. I was going to process multiple people who are going to like actually
Multiple people?
contemporary-
Wait, who else apart from John the Apostle's
Yeah,
might be
so-
student posited by one Christian scholar?
Not one Christian scholar, but also we have also fragments of Polycarp of Smyrna, that's his name, Ignatius of Antioch. All of them who are going to be direct students of the apostles, who are going to be
Give me him.
corroborated.
Give me him. I want him. Give me the source.
Ignatius of Antioch, he has multiple letters, and we can like look at it from like Eusebius of Caesarea's treatment of this.
Okay, so what do you want me to find online to specifically find who this guy was when he lived and what he wrote about Jesus?
Yeah, so he was actually, according to like most of like the scholarly consensus, he was a student of both Paul and Peter, and so he is going to like corroborate many of like the stories.
Okay, where?
Yeah, so he has actually multiple letters in which he's going to like corroborate the story. For example, he has Ignatius of Antioch, letter to the Romans.
Okay, so Ignatius, it looks like he was born after Jesus died. And he was a student.
But can we pause there for a second, because you had mentioned just corroborating testimony of like the idea that this is actually like written by the apostles, right? Which is the question. This is why I'm like positing, like showing
This is interesting. I have actually never heard about writings from supposed students of the apostles.
Yeah, no, they're called the apostolic fathers. So there's like Clement of Rome, Polycarp of Smyrna, Papias, Hierapolis, Ignatius of Antioch. I think those are the 4.
Yeah, I'll look into those. It's pretty. I mean, if true, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's not just one Christian scholar. Like James Papandreou is not the only person who's gonna like argue
No,
this.
I'm looking it up. I'm already seeing it. Student of John the Apostle. Looks like it's pretty mainstream.
Yeah, it is pretty mainstream, but nevertheless, I'm actually saying when I mentioned like the argument, I said that there's like multiple corroborating accounts, testimonies, right, which increase the posterior probability of like this particular event happening. That doesn't necessarily mean that it happened, of course. And so that's why I'm inclined, generally speaking, to believe the victims of like sexual assault allegations in general. But I don't think that that's sufficient.
I'd say the better relation is just to like firsthand accounts of Muhammad and Islam. I think that's like where the conversation would generally lead into. And like that's where we'd be making some difficult distinctions.
Yeah, no, I definitely like agree that it's actually a lot harder to like argue about this particular subject. But I think that if like, for example, we have this corroborating accounts of like Jesus' resurrection, and we do judge like the posterior probability of like Islam, I think we're going to have
it might be higher for Islam, I'm not gonna lie. Okay.
You think it's higher for Islam? Why do you think it's higher for Islam?
We have Aisha's firsthand accounts.
Sure.
I mean, like,
sure.
if we are to accept that, you know, like we have like
the hadiths,
pages,
right?
We have pages and pages and pages of Aisha's hadith, right? Which would be synonymous to that of
synonymous.
Synonymous.
You mean analogous?
Synonymous, analogous. I use the two terms the same. What's the difference?
Synonym means the same, right? Analogous just means that they're like similar.
Yeah, so when I say synonymous, right, in this context, I'm relating it to, it means the same insofar as how they would like prelude towar's like first and second hand accounts of like Bayesian calculus.
Okay, the Bayesian calculus.
Is that not a fair use of the term synonymous?
No, I've never heard it being used that way. I'm just gonna put it this way. But English is my second language, so I'm gonna believe that this is like the case. You know better English than me, anyways. But
yeah,
here,
like a hadith of Aisha.
That
we could like historically attribute as being true.
Yeah, we can attribute a lot. Actually, I think that a lot of the hadiths about Aisha are actually, according to like Islamic scholars, considered weak hadiths precisely because the chain of narration is not particularly corroborated by a lot of sources. Since like they actually whole chain of narration that's really important for like the posterior probability. But I think that when it comes, for example, it's like many of the miracle claims that are, I guess, essential to like the truth value of Islam, we're going to have really low priors and really low posterior probabilities, and quite frankly, quite a high posterior probability for like competing hypotheses, just it being false. For example, we're going to talk about the splitting of the moon, right, by Muhammad. We have like absolutely nil corroborating accounts from anywhere in the world regarding this particular event happening. But we do have
Wait, fair. We could just do the same thing on Christianity, right? About the migration of over 1 million Jewish people from Egypt to Israel.
Yeah,
which
but
you're going to posit
yeah.
that this is not to be taken literally. Under like certain accounts of Christianity, I'm sure that identical sects of Islam exist.
No, they actually don't exist because these are actually Quranic events. They're going to have like hold this to be the case. But I think that
a chronic event. You're saying it doesn't exist because it's a chronic event. I don't know what that.
No,
means.
I'm saying that the Muslims are going to like commit themselves to their belief that the Quran is like the direct word of God. And it's not like mediated by any other person. So like a Christian might say, for example, this is mediated by some other person. So like we have to take into account the artistic way in which like present this. They're gonna say this is directly from God.
So, wait,
right?
so
only
a person can present text artistically, but not God?
Not necessarily, right? But I think that
right, because even like God in the Bible, in the New Testament, presents things artistically through Jesus.
Right, sure. But here's like the really interesting, I think, argument specifically about this.
Doesn't that dispute that artistic like an artistic
for Islam
can only be made by a person?
Yeah. So for Islam, no. I mean, I don't know what exactly you mean by that, but I will go back on that and say like you're right, sure, that I was wrong for like positing this particular like argument. But let's just put it this way, right? Muslims have committed themselves to the belief that the Quran is both the literal word of God, like literally like spoken word of God.
Yeah, most sects.
And simultaneously,
sure. The same thing is true of like most Christians.
Not just most sects, but this is like an essential part of what it means for someone to be like Muslim. And simultaneously, they're going to claim that something like the miracle claim of it medical
Like,
claims
and
of
I bet those sects will argue that it's essential.
Can you
But I
name
would,
any particular sect that
I couldn't
disagrees
name
with this?
any sect of the Islam faith.
Yeah, there is actually none that posit this. Like you won't find Mutazilites. You won't find
There's seriously not one Muslim sect one Islam
that
sect
believes that
that
this is
thinks
false.
the moon didn't split.
Yeah, there's actually none. Like as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, the Sunni and Shia, the Malikis or the Mutazilites, none of them are going to like grant this.
So wow, okay, okay, yeah. I mean, if that's true, then that's insane. I'm actually surprised that the analogous like Christian sects would exist. Like I think that as soon as you start denying the historicity of events in the Old Testament just to like hold a consistent narrative, like I think that like implicates more issues, and I'm sure that like
it definitely
like I don't know, like saying like okay, like do you think that Moses actually existed?
I think that I'm committed to like the belief that there was a person who was called Moses, who was probably like from the tribe of like Shazu of Yao, which is I think like what they call the Israelites that were.
So do you think that like Moses got 10 commandments from God on a mountain?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe.
Maybe. Like, what's your personal belief? Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's my personal belief. I'm not sure. Like, I don't have any strong commitments towards like the historicity of like the specifics.
Wait, do
regarding
you think that you need to follow the 10 commandments?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you think that they come from God?
Yeah, I think that what it teaches is coming from God.
Why do you think they came from God if you're not sure if they came from Moses on the mount?
Yeah, I think that a Christian is committed themselves to the belief that what the Bible is teaching, or what the texts are teaching, what the authors intended to teach, are going to be binding. But then
could one argue that the text teaches that Moses went up on Mount Sinai?
No, not necessarily. Right? That's not necessarily what the authors were.
So you're only committed to the moral teachings. So why are you committed to the moral teachings, but not the non-moral, the pragmatic teachings of
the pragmatic teachings
of whatever the fuck you want to call the non-moral teachings?
Because I would argue this. Yeah, I would argue these aren't actually teachings, but rhetorical tools that are being used. And actually, this is something that early Christians generally employed. Right? For example, Gregory of Nyssa, Origin Adamantius, et al. Right? Other of like Christians who are going to be, or Christian fathers, right, who are going to be specifically using this hermeneutical style to like say that these events didn't actually occur. And so Christianity is like safe from like any of these objections.
A rhetorical tool for what?
No, I said hermeneutical. Hermeneutical.
What is a hermeneutical tool?
So a hermeneutical tool is just a tool for understanding a particular text, right? So an interpreter.
How does Moses going on Mount Sinai make you better understand the 10 Commandments?
It would actually like I think that in the life of Moses, right, which is where I'm actually getting a lot of this stuff from. Gregory of Nyssa actually states that there's like some sort of like deeper metaphysical or spiritual like teaching that's being like taught in this particular like.
What's the deeper metaphysical or spiritual teaching of Moses literally going on Mount Sinai?
Yeah, so it would be something like I actually don't remember the exact one. I could like, look it up from like Gregory of Nyssa's like Life of Moses. But one of the things which he had mentioned in his book is specifically that, right, that many of like the characteristics of the life of Moses are not particularly to be taken as like historical accounts, but it's supposed to be teaching some sort of like spiritual and deeper meaning. I don't even have.
I'm sorry, like the sophistry. It's just so interesting. Like, because I think your views is like 110% bullshit. But I love like Christian sophistry because of how deep it goes. And the reason I think that Christian sophistry runs so venial and is so explanatory is because of how long it's been around. Like we've had like generations and billions of humans all compiling their brain cells for thousands of years to come up with Christian sophistry. And like this vein specifically is very interesting because we start off with an understanding that there's a lack of historicity to justify that events in the Old Testament have occurred. Right? I feel for a rational mind, you should be led to reject the, like the proclivity for the text to, generate or convey factual information, giving you reason to believe that the text as a whole is unreliable, and given that the text is unreliable, the religion as a whole is unreliable. But the sophists will then step in and say, well, no, only some text is unreliable. And the reason that it's unreliable is because it wasn't supposed to communicate truth. It was rather supposed to communicate a deeper spiritual meaning, right? And this is your argument for Moses literally being on Mount Sinai. And,
You've in effect just
and then when one is asked for the deeper metaphysical or spiritual meaning of Moses on Mount Sinai, like seemingly you come up empty-handed. And then like further out on top of that, right, just reason for an assumption that the description of seemingly literal events in the Old Testament as nothing more than a rhetorical tool to communicate a deeper message is adjacent to the teachings that we'd see later in the New Testament, as well as it's just unsupported and not typically accepted. I just think that this Office series is interesting. You know what I mean?
I don't even know where exactly you have mentioned like or where you have pointed out some sort of sophistry. I just think you're like doing this ad hom or it's like disqualify this particular talking point. But I don't have to even specify what particularly is a spiritual meaning of this, and just posit that there is one, and this isn't to be taken literally, right? And it has never been taken literally in terms of the early church. So I really don't see like where this objection is even leading.
Mount Sinai. So okay, I disagree. I think that it has absolutely been taken literally. That Moses went on Mount Sinai and received
I didn't say that has
by the
never
early
been
church.
literally. I said that the early church where in the early church, do you have any particular early church father or something of the sort to like corroborate this?
I couldn't name any early church father. That's just
Exactly.
like the domination
This
of
is just a
Christian.
vacuous. This is just a vacuous claim then.
No, the reason it's not a vacuous claim is because it's the domination of Christian sects today, and traditionally speaking, right within the Orthodox, Catholic, and non-denominational. We could just speak about Orthodox and Catholic churches. That is going to be early Christianity's Orthodox and Catholic churches.
Yes,
Does the Orthodox and Catholic Church accept that Moses was a real person that accepted the commandments from God on Mount Sinai?
There's actually quite a lot of dispute regarding this in the Orthodox and Catholic churches, but the historicity, existence of Moses is supposed to be like a subtle indisputable fact. The existence of a person named Moses who did this guiding thing away from Egypt is supposed to be historical or known or dogmatically held to. But nevertheless, right, Gregory of Nyssa, who I'm referring to here, was an Orthodox/Catholic, right, of the early church. Nevertheless, people like Origen of Adamantius were Orthodox and Catholics of the early church, and they're the first people who are going to be writing specifically about like hermeneutics or Christian hermeneutics of like the Bible and its particular stories, and they corroborate the story which I'm presenting to you. I have no idea like where you get this idea that the early church fathers or something of the sort are going to be contradicting the hermeneutics that I just presented here, or that the Catholic Church or the Orthodox Church have traditionally held to like this fundamentalist view of the historical claims in the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we see it like pretty like proficiently written about by people like Saint Augustine, just for like one example. That like, this is
You just looked this up, didn't you?
Yeah, I am. No, I'm literally.
Saint Augustine actually in the Genesis Literarum, right? He explicitly states that there's many things in Scripture which didn't in fact happen, and we should be careful to interpret these scriptures so as to not give quote unquote the heretics a reason to like clown Christians.
Yeah, but Saint Augustine accepted the like literal explanation of Moses accepting the Ten Commandments from Jesus on Mount Sinai.
In what particular book?
And that would have been no. The reason that he accepted it is because that was the teachings of the church at the time from church fathers.
No, not actually. What other church fathers actually teach these?
The whole basis of the Catholic Church is like an unchanging, unfathomable like doctrine that was upheld 2,000 years ago and is upheld today.
Definitely not. No, that's not true.
Would you agree that today the Catholic Church upholds that Moses literally accepted the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai? The answer is yes. So when did they start accepting?
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if that's like a dogma of the church. But I think that there's this idea here's funny
today
enough,
the Catholic Church accepts that this has occurred. At what point did they start accepting
actually
this?
Where did they actually posit this?
Yes, feel free to ask any Catholic preacher.
No. I'm asking you.
Feel free to ask any Catholic
You're making
bishop.
a claim. You're making a claim. Hustle your claim. Like, where exactly is this in like the doctrines of the Catholic Church? Like, what is there like a letter, like a papal letter or something of the sort?
I bet if I spent 10 minutes looking for one, I could find one. The easier way to justify this claim as being true is just by literally asking a teacher of the Catholic Church. We're going to start off on the local level with priests. We could go up to bishops. We could go even further to the Vatican. this is a teaching of the Catholic Church.
That's not sufficient for us, like, grant that this is like a dogma or a doctrine of the Catholic Church, or something that has been held like consistently throughout like the 2,000 years of history of the Catholic Church.
Well, it is sufficient. It is sufficient in justifying that this is a dogma of the Catholic Church. It's insufficient in justifying that it has been historically like true. The question would be when it started to become historically true.
When it comes to like dogmas of the Catholic Church, I think the only things that the people are going to be like bound to like believing in are going to be called like the extraordinary magisterium, which are things that are written specifically in ecumenical councils, or are going to be like something which is spoken to by the Pope ex cathedra. So this isn't actually the case. I don't know any ex cathedra proclaimant or any ecumenical council that are going to like be positing.
So you think that you think that all like Catholic preachers today are wrong then?
I don't even know if all Catholic preachers hold this schema that you have posited.
Name one
is
figure.
this coming from?
Name one figure of the Catholic Church today that is a Hermeticist and does not take the account of Moses accepting the Ten Commandments from God on Mount Sinai as literal.
I'll give you a contemporaneous one, but not one.
No, I want one today. I want a large Catholic figure, a large Catholic figure, either within like the within the church, meaning we'd be looking at bishops, people in the Vatican, the Pope himself, or like within like the last 100 years that is specifically rejected.
Within the last 100 years, Raymond E. Brown.
Who's that?
Yeah, so Raymond E. Brown is actually one of the.
Slow down and spell his name.
Raymond E. Brown, RaymondEBrown.
Raymond Brown. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so Raymond E. Brown is actually one of like the biggest figures like in contemporary like biblical scholarship, specifically when it comes to like Johannine literature. And in his book, The Critical Meaning of the Bible, he actually talks about things like Moses coming down from Mount Sinai and stuff like that, and how we should interpret the verses as Catholics. So I don't know like why you think that this is like something which Catholics are bound to believe, or what Orthodox are bound to believe as like dogmatically.
Could you show me where he rejects Moses getting the Ten Commandments from God on Mount Sinai?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned like The Critical Meaning of the Bible. I don't have it right now. Critical Meaning of the Bible is one of his books, Raymond E. Brown.
Oh, and then also like the first thing that pops up is like how like traditional scholars of the church reject this. If you're interested insofar as like who, I'd recommend looking at people listed on CatholicCulture.org. Just look up traditional Catholic scholars long oppose Father Brown's theories. It actually looks like
funny enough,
consensus of people reject his theories.
So funny enough, if you want to hear something funny enough, his theory actually was granted in premature by Pope Benedict the 16th. So there's like papal approval of this position. So Catholics are free to hold this position. So just the fact that this is
show me where it was granted by whatever Pope you just named. That specifically speaking, Moses did not accept the Ten Commandments.
Not specifically that, but the book in which
that's specifically what I've been asking. Where
but I'm telling you that if this book is granted in premature by the Catholic Church or by the Pope,
then show me where in the book it talks about Jesus accepting the Ten Commandments.
Let me tell you what imprimatur means in the Catholic Church, so you know why this is relevant. Imprimatur means that this is found to be without error, right? So if Pope Benedict the 16th is granting imprimatur to the Critical Meaning of the Bible, which is one of Raymond E. Brown's work, specifically on like hermeneutics of this, of like Old Testament like literature and things of this sort, which run counter to the sort of narrative which you're running. It means that Catholics are free to hold this to be true, meaning that it's not a dogma of the church, right? Catholics are not bound to believe that Moses was specifically granted this 10 Commandments, like handed down from heaven or something of the sort.
So you could just like straight up reject that. Can you reject that Moses was a real person?
No, you can't reject that Moses was a real person.
Why can't you do that?
Because this is actually like, I think that this was condemned by one of the ecumenical councils. I don't remember which one specifically, but I can see if I can look this up, which is ecumenical council.
Like, I mean, I'm just kind of getting myself to ask questions now because like this is like teachings specifically of the Catholic Church. You're going to need to know infinitely more than I do. So I'm honestly just curious at this point. So do you reject that he received the Ten Commandments?
I'm agnostic on this subject. I don't know enough.
You don't know enough. Okay.
I think that
do you reject the migration of Jewish people from Egypt to Israel?
I think that Friedman, which is like a maximalist political historicist, he says that there was a flight from Egypt, but it's not like 500,000 people or something like that, because that's kind of preposterous, right? Or the number that the Bible gives is kind of like an exaggeration. Ideally, I think that a lot of people say that in the biblical literature that this is largely speaking about the Shasu of Yu, who migrated from Egypt to Canaan, who were held in captivity there because they used to be like raiders or something like that. So I think
like the
there might be a
Bible is
flight
just
from
incorrect about how many people.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, you know what I'd love to set up is a conversation between I think I fucking proved my point when it came to LP. I was actually pretty strong there.
Definitely not.
Definitely
yeah.
so, bro. You couldn't posit a conception of God in which would prevent it.
I think I did posit up was a conception of God in which it could prevent it, actually.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, not prevent it, but allow it, right? Which is the point. The point is that God might have reason enough to allow it, right? Giving some virtue ethicist or theological conception of like ethics, right? Which doesn't make us or commit us like some sort of consequentialist schema.
So, you're gonna need to explain to me like your theory of ethics under virtue ethics. I don't know anything about virtue ethics. You have to describe to me what virtue ethics are. So I know how the LOP would apply to deontic ethics, and I know how the LOP would apply to consequentialist ethics. What the hell? Like, you gotta explain to me what virtue ethics is.
Yeah, so virtue ethics is just the position that what is good or bad about X is going to like refer to some sort of like characteristic of virtue. Virtues meaning specifically characteristics of like a will, which are conducive towards the performance of some good deeds. Good deeds being the fulfillment of practical goals that are inherent in a thing. So, for example,
oh wait, the
honesty,
good deed is a fulfillment of a goal.
A good deed would be the fulfillment of a practical goal that is inherent to a thing.
What the fuck?
So, this is not just virtue ethics. Actually, this is like virtue ethics plus a teleological ethics. So, for example, I might say that I have like an intrinsic goal to live, right? And virtue ethics might say that we have like a particular virtue that directs us or allows us like fulfill that goal better, right? That's what virtue is. So, for example, maybe I could posit this by like explaining some sort of like, or using an example that of an extrinsic goal, right? Or something which is an extrinsic goal and it has a virtue and I count it like the extrinsic goal. A knife, right, has an extrinsic goal, a goal which we grant to it. And the goal of the knife is to cut, and the virtue of the knife is its sharpness, right? The sharpness of the knife is what allows it to cut better, right? And so, whenever we talk about virtue, we're specifically speaking about those sort of characteristics that are conducive or better or improve like our ability to like generate those particular goals that we have that are intrinsic to us.
Okay, in like a very loose sense, if you're just saying like it is and more in conformity it is with an end goal, like the better it is in this sense. Is God's end goal like to achieve the maximum amount of good?
That would be one of the end goals, right? But also he might also have some sort of like consideration for some other end goals. So it might be good on account of that goal and bad on account of another, right? Without causing some sort of contradiction.
Okay, I'm gonna have my friend come to explain this to me and see if this would conform with like Christian doctrine. I actually
most Christians are virtue ethicists. Actually,
I've never never debated a virtue ethicist and its conformity to like how it might apply to the LOP. I don't know. I want to get his take on it. This one, I'm just interested in the conversation.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, so
Danny, we're talking about your logical problem of evil. I just wanted to like understand how exactly.
So I mean,
actually
one second, Caustic. So Danny, yeah, we've been talking about the LOP. I mean, I fucking like railroaded it on like Kantian deontics. It was beautiful. Same thing with like a consequentialist view, but now he's positing like a virtue ethicist view, a view of virtue ethics. And not only do I not really know a lot about virtue ethics, how would that apply to the Christian faith, and what issues would that present with the LOP?
Well, I don't see what it has to do with. I mean, it depends on the kind of problem of evil you're running. But in terms of the sort that I tend to run, I don't see how normative ethics, which is all this deontology, virtue ethics, utilitarianism, all that egoism, all that stuff is just, as I see it, totally irrelevant. I don't see why virtue ethics would be relevant. Like, why do you think it's relevant, Caustic?
Yeah, so I think that virtue ethics, specifically like teleological ethics, which is going to like virtue ethics is going to be like subsumed under. I think that teleological ethics are going to be like important here because we can like specify or predicate goodness or badness, not just to, like the consequences of an act, but we're going to predicate goodness or badness to like the intentions behind an act, the act itself, as apart from the consequences, right? So whenever we talk about this being ultimately bad, we might say that this is like a bad thing. A bad act in account of like inhibiting some sort of end that we have, say our end to life. That's why murder would be bad, I guess, under like a teleological ethics position. And we might nevertheless say that in account of its consequences, it might be good, right? Nevertheless, we might say still that this is like a bad act that shouldn't have happened in account of it being an inhibition of some sort of end that we have, even if it has good consequences.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I wasn't here for when you heard the logical problem, but we can just simplify it this way. Christianity teaches that God is omnipotent. At least a lot of Christians hold that God is omnipotent. Omnipotence entails that you always succeed with respect to what you want because you have the means of accomplishing what you want to do. And if God wants to create a world, he's going to get the world that he wants. So there's nothing that occurs that isn't exactly what God wants, or else you limit omnipotence. Now, you could say that God wants randomness, and randomness by definition cannot be actualized intentionally because there's nothing that explains randomness. So, if we bracket that, because presumably you don't think that human actions are random, if we bracket that, then you're just going to get with the result that this is exactly the reality that God wanted.
Yeah, I don't think that I would actually have to grant that this is exactly the reality that God wants, and even like I see no issue actually positing.
But that's the conclusion.
No, I don't know. I don't. Okay, yeah, the premise that God's omnipotence like commits us to the idea that everything that happens in the world.
No. I'll say it again.
That everything that he wants is like something which is actualized. I don't think that's.
God, I can't talk today. Omnipotent being, right, has the means of accomplishing whatever he wants to do, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if he has the means of succeeding with respect to the will, then he'll never fail.
Sure. He'll never fail to obtain like what he wants, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean, for example. Actually, that might not necessarily be like the case when it comes to like different accounts of omnipotence. Like we might actually posit, for example, an view of omnipotence, right? That does not.
Look, I don't really care about idiosyncratic versions of omnipotence.
It's not even idiosyncratic. This is actually quite popular.
No. If you want to say that God doesn't always have the means of succeeding and he fails in some cases, fine. Then the argument is not for you.
No, necessarily. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I just mean that God cannot actualize something like logical impossibilities, right? And so, if there's like the only option.
I'm not presupposing that type of omnipotence.
Right. But I'm just explaining, if I may, that if God may not allow like some sort of like logical incoherence like obtained, then it might be the case that this is like the world in which he might actualize the world.
I don't know what you're responding to right now.
Yeah. I'm responding to like the logical problem that you're positing.
No. What premise are you rejecting? Are you rejecting that God has the means to accomplish whatever he wants to do?
Yeah. I guess I would be rejecting that specifically.
If there is a means, otherwise it just happens, right? So
if there is a means, as in if there's like a logical possible world in which.
Look, if God wants trees, right? He can. There's nothing that's going to obstruct that, right? He can do it because. Either it can happen immediately following his attention, or it can use a means to that end. Either way.
I think that we can, for example, rebut this by saying that God might have like some tactical consideration.
What are you rebutting?
We might rebut the idea that God gets like every single one of the things that he wants. We might say that.
So God doesn't always get what he wants.
Yeah, he doesn't get what he wants. I mean, of course, that would be like one of the Christian rebuttals about.
All right. So what prevents him from getting what he wants? Does something obstruct his will?
it would be like something like some ultimate like good, which is trying to like ensure it like obtains.
Wait, good. You're telling me that God's will or his goals obstruct his other goals?
God's goals obstruct his other goals. What exactly do you mean?
Look, you said that God can be obstructed. He can want something, and something can prevent
Something
him.
can prevent it, yes.
Right now, that something just turns out to be another God's own goals. Right. So God is his own goals are antithetical to other goals.
Not necessarily. I don't see how that follows.
This is a conflicted being.
I don't see how that follows, right? Let's say if like
Look,
if God
you
if
just
God
said
is
it. You
if,
just
if
said
God
it,
if
right?
God
I
is
didn't-
if God is limited, right? But it's like the consideration of some sort of like greater good. That doesn't necessarily
That
mean
greater
that.
good is a God. Look. That greater good is something that it has to do with God's goals, right?
Yeah, he
God
might
has a
he might
goal for a
take.
greater good.
Here's a question really quickly. I think that might make this situation a lot clearer. Let's take into consideration that I have some particular like goal, which is to eat, right? That would be like my ultimate goal, my TLOA or something like that, we might say. And so, nevertheless, it might actually be like a tactical consideration for me to like obtain this ultimate goal, which is to eat. If I don't eat right now, right? So, I think that these tactical considerations, like for like the greater good, are not like incoherent in any way, shape, or form. It just means
Wait,
that
you're not
consideration.
understanding me. You're just not understanding me. Look, you're saying there are things that God wants that something else prevents him from succeeding from that with respect to that desire or that goal. Now,
Yeah.
I asked you.
Some other desire that he has.
I asked you, right. So you now have a being that has conflicting will, conflicting desire, right? In one hand, he wants this to occur. On the other hand, he doesn't want this to occur because whatever greater good nonsense you want to insert in there. And so there's a sense in which God wants to, for the thing that shouldn't happen, that undermines the greater good, he wants that, but his other desire conflicts with that.
I'm actually not necessarily like. Give me a second so I can think about this really quickly. So we can think of like this desires as not conflicting on like a fundamental level, right? Say like my desire for like food right now doesn't necessarily like conflict with like my desire to eat tomorrow, right? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
It just means that
That's not an example of conflicting desire. What do you think I mean
that's
by
what I'm
conflicting
saying.
desire?
That's what I'm saying. Like his desire for like the greater good doesn't necessarily have to like conflict with like,
No.
his desire.
I need to be clear. When I say conflicting desire, that does not mean different desires.
What do you
Okay,
mean by-
it just means that those two desires cannot succeed without a contradiction or some kind of given some kind of constraint, right? So, for example, if I want my chair to be physical. If I want to, let me use a better example. If I want a table to be triangular, but on the other hand, I want it to have 3 sides, there's just no way I can get what I want, right? I'm going to have to fail with respect to one of those desires, right? Because they're mutually exclusive, they're conflicting. Now, humans, we have physical constraints. So sometimes I really want a fast car, okay, but I also want it to be $10,000, right? Now, that's unrealistic. There are constraints, there are financial constraints, blah, 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 maybe physical constraints, and I can't get what I want, so I have to compromise, okay? So in the case of human beings, it's not just logical constraints, it's other sorts of constraints. Now, so in the case of what you're saying is that there are cases where God wants something, but something prevents him from succeeding with respect to what he wants. And this is just going to be another desire that conflicts with that desire, so you have a conflicted will.
So I don't necessarily think that follows. For example, I think that the example that I gave regarding like the hunger.
What doesn't follow from what?
I'm saying that like I'm saying that it doesn't follow that.
What doesn't follow? Where are you telling me doesn't follow?
Can I finish my sentence? If I
need
can
you to
finish my
clarify.
sentence. Okay, I'm trying to
You can't just say
clarify,
it
but you
doesn't
keep
follow
interrupting
and not tell me.
I'm trying to clarify, but you keep interrupting me.
Okay, what doesn't follow?
Yeah, so the idea that God has like a conflicted will, or that this things that are contradictory like desires doesn't necessarily follow from like the position that he has these different desires, right? That
I didn't say that, right? This is why I interrupted
cannot
you.
obtain at the same time.
This is
That
why
cannot
I
obtain at the
interrupted
same
you,
time.
because you could not even represent me correctly.
Well, that's
Okay?
what you said, that they have these different desires. that cannot obtain
No,
at the
let
same
me
time.
say
That's
it
very
again.
contradictory.
Let me say it again, okay? If God desires X, okay, you're saying that there can be cases where he does not get X because something else obstructs that will.
Yeah.
Now, it can't be simply a different desire. It's got to be what we call a conflicting desire. A desire by which, if that's you see with respect to that desire, then another desire must fail. And that's just
That another desire cannot obtain, right? That's what I actually said quite explicitly, right, before after you interrupted me, actually, that he has like these desires that cannot obtain. He has these desires that cannot obtain at the same time, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like contradictory desires. It just means that he has to take into consideration.
I didn't say that. Right? Yeah, I just did not say that.
I think that you did say that they're contradictory desires.
No, listen very carefully.
This is where the hunger.
Let's do it for the third time. Let's do it for the third. You're just misunderstanding me. So let's just do it a third time.
I like to explain though, because you're not letting me.
You don't understand my position. You can't represent me correctly.
I think that I am actually.
Go ahead, do it again.
Go on.
Do it. Represent me.
You're saying you has these desires, right, that cannot obtain simultaneously, right? Like falls into like a sort of conflict.
No, give me the argument.
That's what you said. You asked me to like.
Okay, I'm going to say it again, and I want you to listen. Right?
I'm listening.
I want you to listen.
I don't know what you think is rhetoric is doing.
What I'm giving to you is actually just a definition. It's not even an argument, right? Mm-hmm. So to charge me with a non sequitur is crazy when I'm not even giving an argument. I'm giving you the definition of what it means.
You did not just give me a definition there, by the way.
What?
You did not just give me a definition, by the way.
I didn't give a definition of what I meant.
The conclusion was that he had a conflicting will.
Wait 1 second. You're telling me I didn't define what a conflicting desire is for you?
I didn't say that. I said you did not just give me a definition. I said that you gave me an argument.
Look. Here's what it means. If God wants X, okay, if some other desire, right, makes it such obstructs that desire, by definition, that's called a conflicting desire. That's a definition for you, right? That is not an argument.
And I think that the argument that you have posited over here was that God has a sort of conflicted will, right?
No, let's start with the definition.
It's not. That's okay. So you had started with a definition, but you did not just give me a definition. Which was
I just did give you a definition. I did. Look, let me say it again for you.
I'm talking about when you posited this argument, right? You did not just give me a definition. You actually came to the conclusion that God. You came to the conclusion that God has a conflicted will.
No, here's what happens. Look, you're not tracking. You're just not tracking.
I am tracking.
You're just not tracking. So I'm going to say it again.
I'm pretty sure I am.
You're just not tracking. So let me help you out. Okay? Here's what happens.
I don't think I need your help. So here's what I'm trying to say. So like maybe you're hungry now, but you know it'd be better for like digestion.
Why would I muted you? I muted you. No one can hear you.
Oh shit! Danny has mod power.
Okay.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So listen. I want everybody to listen. And this is for not just your sake, but for any other person that's not tracking the way you are. Here's what happened.
This is ridiculous.
I asked this guy, okay, hey, what stops God from getting what he wants? This guy said the greater good, which just means that God has a different desire with respect to the greater good or whatever that prevents this desire from becoming successful, succeeding with respect to it. Then I said that by definition just means that he has a conflicting desire by which your dumbass said that that's a non sequitur.
Yeah, so I think that the situation here is that the conclusion that you had mentioned there was that God has this sort of like desires. That is not just a definition. Right? You're saying that this follows from like you're saying that
no,
this follows
I'm not. I'm telling you what your position is.
So what I was saying again with like the hunger argument, because we're going to be like bogged down in this, is like maybe you're hungry now. But
you're being dense.
You're hungry.
You're being dense.
Right. So your desire for food right now is going to like conflict with your desire for food in the future.
Is that what I mean by look?
In that sense, like if that's what you mean by
look, we're just gonna ask you a question, okay? If you desire X and some other desire makes it such that you must not get X, okay? Is that a conflicting desire, yes or no?
If some other desire says that you must not also get X. Can you repeat that really quickly? I'm sorry.
If you desire something, X, and there's a different desire that makes it such that you will not get X, is that desire conflicting, yes or no?
By conflicting, you don't mean contradictory, right? You just mean that they have like, they cannot obtain simultaneously.
I'm quizzing you on what I said. I'm proving to you that you don't know what I'm saying.
But I'm asking you like a follow-up question, right? Which is, by that you mean like they're not contradictory, right? You just mean that they cannot obtain simultaneously.
I gave you, if you listened, you could easily answer the question.
I actually.
I'm going to respond.
So clearly, like I'm
going to respond. I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond. Look, everybody take note. I define for him a conflicting desire is a desire that gets in the way of another desire such that it fails. That's what, excuse me, that's my definition. Then I asked this guy, if you desire X and some other, excuse me, then I asked you, if you desire X and some other desire prevents you from getting X, right? Is that a conflicting desire? Now, if he was listening, he knows that by the way I stipulated the definition of conflicting desire, it is a conflicting desire. But this guy needed a clarification question, which shows that he's either not listening or he's extremely dense.
Well, I explicitly stated before, right, that this means that when you mean by conflict desires, that they cannot obtain simultaneously, and you say, you're wrong, right? But now you're saying the exact same thing that I had mentioned before, which is that they cannot obtain simultaneously. And so that's why I had to ask, because now you're contradicting yourself when you said that I was wrong previously when I characterized your argument. And now you're saying that
did I give an argument? Did I give an argument?
I'm sorry, you actually did, right?
No,
so
I did not.
I'm sorry. So
what was the inference rule?
You gave a definition, right? And then you said that given this definition, it follows that God has a conflicted will. That would be an argument. That would be like modus ponens.
No, that would be like
you're saying
P1.
You're saying P1.
No.
Definition, right? P2. This being classified. That's the argument.
You're fucked for two reasons, okay?
Holy
Number one,
shit.
if that's what I gave, right, then the conclusion follows if it's definitional. But you said that it was a non sequitur.
Yeah. So I guess I would be wrong given the definition that you have.
You would be
before.
wrong. That's why I said it was stupid. That's why I said it was stupid to give it was a non sequitur.
But no, that's not what you said. That it was stupid to give a non sequitur, right? You said that it was a non sequitur because you didn't give an argument, right? Which is just false. That's just fucking stupid.
Look, hey, is this an argument? By definition, okay, a bachelor is an unmarried man. Is that an argument?
No, that is not an argument.
Okay, now if I say by definition, okay, if a desire makes it such that another desire is obstructed, that's a conflicting desire. Is that an argument?
No, that's a definition.
Right. That's what I gave you.
But that's actually what I was contending with, because you did not
said that was a non sequitur.
Hey, dumbass! You did not just say that. You said that the conclusion is that God has a conflicted will. That's exactly why we had this conversation, right? That's why I said it's like a non sequitur, but it is. I roll that back and say that it's not a non sequitur.
You roll back. You backpedal. Now we can resume. Okay.
Okay.
So let's resume.
I think that you're a bit confused about the way in which the conversation progresses.
Based on what I mean by conflicting desire, does God? Here's what I'm stipulating. A conflicted will is a will by which has distinct desires that cannot be simultaneously actualized.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So that's what I mean by conflicted will. Now, by that definition, does God have a conflicted will?
Yes.
Okay. So an all-powerful, all-good, perfectly rational being has conflicting will, is what you're saying.
Sure, by the definition that you gave.
Much like humans have, I desire to eat cake, but I also desire to lose weight. That's kind of like your God, right? God does have some desire to bring about the wrong thing, but he has stronger desires to do the right thing. He's just like us. He has a divided will.
Actually, he doesn't necessarily mean that he has like the desire to like bring about a wrong thing. It just means that he has some sort of other considerations. So he has a
Look. I'll just show you. I'll just show you why it's the wrong thing.
So how is this?
If we stipulate that the greater good is that I lose weight, would eating the cake be the wrong thing to do in the diet case?
Sure.
Right.
It's not conducive towards like an end.
Right. Now, if God has the greater good in mind and he has another desire to where if that is successful, it undermines the greater good, does that desire dispose?
Wow. Holy shit.
That
That's
God
a good
disposed
point.
to do the wrong thing?
Because if God has like some desire for the Holocaust not to occur, and the Holocaust not occurring undermines the greater good, that is just like someone's desire to eat cake if they want to lose weight.
Right. But I think that there's like, I think that there's actually like some sort of consideration that has to be taken into account here.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So like I mentioned here previously with like the hunger argument, doesn't necessarily mean that it's like wrong for you to like fast or something like that. But say like maybe you're hungry now.
It's wrong with respect to the greater good.
Can I? I don't know. You're not making. You're not letting me like finish.
Wait, I have a question.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It would be wrong when you say it's
Caustic,
wrong.
is eating
It can be-
eating cake? 1 second. Is eating cake wrong in respect to a goal of losing weight?
Sure. But then
One
when we're
second.
talking about, like,
1 second. 1 second.
Mhm.
Is God preventing the Holocaust wrong in respect to the greater good?
I guess it might be that argument. Yeah, it would be wrong. in
There
respect
we
to-
go. So he's much like us.
But here's the
God
situation.
desires to do the wrong thing. He just
here's the
overcomes it.
Here's a situation that I was specifically like referring to that I think that is like important for us like taking into consideration is that this might be like wrong in like a first order sense, but it might be like good for us like fast like a second order sense or something like that. Whereas insofar as like the second order might like include or second order like reflections of like this powers might actually like express. Sorry, I mean like the individual desires are like only like individual functions or ends or something like that. And it's like this individual functions.
Well, this isn't rocket science, right? And for anybody that's confused,
we can specify.
Okay,
like
I want to explain
with
to
regards to
everyone.
what
Let me
ends is sort of
explain.
bad.
Look, if you're confused, it's purely because of this caustic guy. It's not that hard to understand. Here's the problem: when you have a desire for the greater good, any desire that undermines the greater good is wrong to actualize. But it's still nonetheless a desire to do the wrong thing.
So the question here is like I think there's like a really interesting distinction to like be drawn here about the different kinds of like wrongs.
Okay,
or
I'm
bads.
gonna give
That's
Caustic
just
2 more lines before I pick him.
So I think we can take into consideration like different like goods or bads or ways in which we can talk about like goods or bads. And this is I think whenever we talk about like the cake thing, it will be like a practical good or a pragmatic good or something like that for us, like avoid eating cake.
You can call it a wazoo good. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then we can say like there's like desires for like God like actualize a world in which something like inhibits like the greater good while simultaneously saying like he has to take into consideration like this greater good and that's why he allows it to happen. And there's like no contradiction here.
Well, no. Look, it's
Or it's
just
a logical
shows.
problem.
Look, there's no contradiction in me
So
sinning.
then the logical
okay,
problem
one
will fall
second.
apart, dude.
1 second. There's no contradiction in me sinning. There's no contradiction in me desire to do the wrong thing. But we don't think that a perfectly good being would have any desire to undermine the greater good.
I actually don't agree with that.
Oh, a
I
perfect
think that-
being has desires to undermine the greatest good.
So you're kind of confusing here like extensional and intentional context, right? So we can say, for example, that
You don't even know what that is.
I definitely do know what extensional and intentional
Okay,
context.
was there a modal operator that I used, or was it some kind of intentional language that I used?
Yeah, so I think that whenever we talk about like
What was the you know how intentional contexts
whenever
are?
you said,
Wait, 1 second.
when you said
Look,
undermining,
I just want to say something before we go down this road. I want to say something. This guy brought up the intention with an S, extension distinction in this conversation.
Extension and intention distinction. Yes, when you said, for example, that God has like a desire for like undermining like the greater good, if we like view this like an extensional sense, that's obviously like false. But when we look at this like from an intentional sense, right, which God has a desire which might nevertheless, if like actualize, conflict with like the greater good, then that might be the case.
Look,
right?
well, let me go down this little rabbit hole with you to show you that you're just a sophist. Right, because before I do that, I'm going to explain. I'm going to explain to everyone what intention extension is, and show how you just try to BS your way out of the objection. So, guys, everyone, shut up. Everyone, listen. This is not that difficult. Okay, the terms are not common terms. They're like fancy philosophical terms. So, look, this is what this guy said. There are cases where, let's say, Lois Lane believes that she's dating Clark Kent, okay? But that doesn't mean that she believes that she's dating Superman. That's what we call an intentional context with an S, or sometimes called an opaque context, okay? Now, watch this guy. Shut up. Now, the reason why you can't say that if Lois Lane believes she's dating Clark Kent, you can't necessarily say that she believes she's dating Superman is because it's a question as to whether she knows whether Superman is Clark Kent. But God is never in that position. God knows all, right? So if it follows that, if we stipulate rather that Lois Lane does know that Superman is Clark Kent, then we can infer that if she believes she's dating Superman, then she believes she's dating Clark Kent. Or sorry, you reverse that. Same thing. You get the picture. So the fact that he thought that an intentional context would save him here, when God knows all the propositional content relevant to make the correct inference that if he desires X and X is Y, then he desires Y, then this is just an exhibition of pure
we don't
sophistry.
actually even have to. We don't even have to grant like God's knowledge like propositional. I have no idea like what we have to grant that specifically. But nevertheless, I think that intentional and extensional context is like actually relevant here, and that you didn't explain like how exactly like. And you didn't explain. Yeah, it is actually because
it's not. What creates an intentional context?
So when you had mentioned, for example, that God desires.
Wait, excuse me. What creates an intentional context?
I'm going to continue.
Hey, by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and give Caustic one last. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go ahead and give Caustic. I'm gonna give you literally one last opportunity on the microphone to speak, and as soon as you're done speaking, that's like your last line on the live.
Yeah, no, I understand. I've been taking quite a lot of time here. So whenever we talk about like intentional and extensional context, it's exactly as Danny had explained. But the situation here is like when you say, for example, that God has like some sort of desire that undermines, or that God desires a desire that undermines the greater good, right? We have to like take into consideration here extensional and intentional context with respect to like desires. For example, I might say that I desire Bruce Wayne, right, without necessarily saying that I desire like Batman because of some intentional context here. Nevertheless, like if we view this like as like an extensional thing, I don't know like why this would like.
Oh my gosh, this is a bunch of you're just BSing your way through the objection. Good job for taking a philosophy 101, logic 101 class, or reading your book, or maybe even getting a degree or in philosophy, right? Nice attempt and using that knowledge to get out of a very simple objection.
You haven't even explained how this like fails as an explanation. Like you haven't.
Look, we're moving on, and I agree with the chat. Right, we're right now we're in your prison right now, and we want to break out.
But you haven't even explained how this actually fails. Explain it.
Oh wait,
look, I'm willing to debate you on it on my live. Look, I will debate you on this on my live.
I forgot. Caustic, mute your damn mic. You have no more words on the live. I made that clear.
Yeah, let's just move on. He's free to talk to me on my live. I'm always an open book. I'm not like these. I mean, I'm not saying he's running, but a lot of apologists run from us, right? I don't run. So yeah, I'm free to talk. I'm open anytime. Just DM me and we'll talk about it.
We can talk about it and how intentional and extensional context are relevant to like God's desires. Thank you for having me, Dean.
Yeah, have a good one. Woo! That was my first time debating theism in like 8 months.
Well, that guy was a sophist. He was deliberate. Like he brought intention, extension, distinction, which is a very specific distinction that no one really learns about. To bring up a very look, we're just saying, hey, God desires to undermine the greater good, okay? Because that desire, that if it were to be actualized, would undermine the greater good.
I think that we should bring him back up.
Well, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Early April 1st prank on the chat. I'm just
Dean.
Danny, what you did? Do you want to hang out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Go. What's up, Swift Lone?
All right. What's your belief?
About like God and shit. Oh yeah, I'm an atheist agnostic, meaning I don't think it's possible for the Christian God to exist, but maybe a deist God. I don't know.
Okay. Listen, there's a lot of other type of people. I'm not gonna start yelling. I'm not gonna yell at you or anything, but I'm gonna say this: there is a lot of other beliefs that God is not real. I might have support, but if you're going to do it on here, you're going to have a lot of people that you're not going to be happy with. That's going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to prove you wrong, okay? Because God is real. How do you think the world's going to end? That's my question. In your formation, how would you think that how the world's going to end?
1 second, Chad. Are we lagging? Or are we good? How do I think the world's going to end? I don't know. What does that matter?
It matters because in the Bible it says the world's going to end when Jesus comes down from heaven on a white horse, and he's going to his people in heaven and fight Satan.
Okay, so how do you know that Christianity is true?
I'm a Baptist, and Baptist is like Christianity. It's the same way because
Christianity. Because how do you know that Jesus is the Son of God? How do you know that your God exists?
Well, hang on, say that again.
So how do you know that your God exists? The gospel's true, and Jesus was his son.
How do I know? It's because I have faith in it. You got to have faith in it to believe that your God is real.
So I have a question.
Hmm.
So you're going to confidently prove me wrong with your faith?
Yeah, there's a lot of faith you have to do with God. He
Okay.
will accept you.
Sir, did you vote for Trump?
I did vote for Trump.
Trump's a rapist. You shouldn't have done that.
No, he's not. There's no proof.
The proof is my faith.
Okay, your faith is wrong. My faith is right.
Do you see what I mean?
That's the kind of shit you hear on the bingo board, right? Like, I mean,
Oh no. How do you know my faith is wrong?
Because God knows what happens. You don't.
No. How do you know that my faith in Trump being a rapist is wrong, but your faith?
Well,
in God
it's
existing is
easy
right?
because there's no proof that he did rape somebody.
Okay, so
where's
my
the proof?
faith has to be supported by proof?
No, you just don't know that. You don't have the strong belief that he did.
I
You
do.
think he did. No, he
No,
didn't.
I'm confident that he did.
He didn't.
But I'm well,
He
Mom,
did.
just follow me.
Switch, would you say that you know Christianity is true?
Yeah, Christianity is true.
Oh, no, okay, but you know it. Now, do you know it because of your faith?
I know it because I was born and raised. Yeah.
Okay, so a Muslim that has faith and born and raised Muslim, they know that Islam is true then.
Yeah. There's no problem with that.
Okay, so you can't. Do you know that if you know it, it's got to be true?
So
Yeah.
I know that Trump's a rapist. It got to be true.
But God, no.
Yeah, but if you wait, you just said the Muslim knows that Islam is true, which means that
That's in
Islam
their-
is true.
Yeah, because it's in their faith that they believe in other gods.
Okay, but you just said Islam is true. You realize you just did that?
Because if you think about it, they have their own kind of belief system, and we have our own. Us Baptists and us Christianity people has our own belief, like atheists, pagans, and Islams.
No. But is Islam true?
Atheist is not a true religion.
Hey, I'm asking if Islam is true. Yes or no?
Big County, it's good
I
to
don't
see you
know
today,
anyone-
Jackson. I appreciate
I
you
don't
for
know anyone that is
the for the
Islam, but
media
I know
shower.
it's your
I
faith
appreciate
'cause I
that,
see it on
Jackson.
TikTok here and there.
Wait, I'm just asking. Do you know if Islam is true or false? Yes or no?
I say false because I don't believe.
Okay,
I believe
but then you
something.
just contradicted yourself. I don't even know how to talk to you.
But how would you? Okay, though. 15, I've been on your live stream so many times. You've been talking about Miss Harris over here, and after.
I think that you just need to realize that I have some fucking faith. Okay, all right, and you
have
can't
faith in
dispute
the
that.
false lies.
No, it's not a false lie.
It is a false lie.
No, because I know it's true.
Where's your proof?
I don't need it. I have faith. Faith is my
Exactly,
evidence,
you don't
sir.
have proof that he
No,
did that.
no, I do have proof. Faith is my evidence. Now, what's the
You don't
fucking
have no
problem?
court evidence proof of it though.
Wait, are you saying that faith isn't proof?
No, faith is proof in.
So then the faith is my goddamn proof.
But you don't have faith if you're in a
I
hate group.
fucking have faith that Donald Trump will destroy America.
Okay, you have faith in that, but I have faith he won't because he believes in God. Because
No, listen to me.
One
I
God.
have faith. Okay, I'm going to give you my argument. The conclusion of my argument is that Donald Trump's going to destroy America. Proof number 1, Dean has faith that Donald Trump is going to destroy America. All right? We could use some logical implications. Therefore, Donald Trump is going to destroy America.
Wait, how
All
old
right?
are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Uh-huh.
I am 20 years old.
What year were you born in?
2004.
He couldn't have done the math that quick. He is 20 years old.
I am 24. I'm 24. I almost said 24. I am 20 years old, and I was born in 2004. I know.
Absolutely. But now, using your brain, can you reason your way to the conclusion that faith actually isn't a reliable standard for truth, and because faith doesn't rely on any observable phenomena or rational belief that is reliably correct to determine that a subsequent belief is also true. It's more so just your emotions, okay, right? And I've demonstrated this to you because I'm over here saying I have faith Donald Trump will destroy America, and you're looking at me like I'm fucking psycho. So it's like even you agree with me here, and that's why we can't just use faith to justify
my
a religion
question,
as
so did
true.
he destroy the country when he first became president, like before now?
You don't even understand how I'm not actually trying to debate that my faith is accurate. I'm trying to use this as a conceptually relating
Yeah, I know. I'm just asking.
prove another point.
Did you have faith that he destroyed the country when he was president before Joe Biden joined the?
Yeah, he certainly tried. And he did destroy the country in a lot of ways. If you
No, he didn't.
I'm confused. Why you just came up here to tell us you have faith? Like, what's the point of this?
Faith, look, in the Bible, there is such thing as you have to believe in one God. Okay, if either you're an atheist, Jesus will always be there for you. But if you're going to,
But now you're preaching. Look. Are you here to convince us of something? Yes or not?
I'm just telling you what I was told when I was a kid.
Okay, but you see, this is not story time or share and tell.
I'm not telling you a story. I'm just telling you what I was learned by. Okay, Danny.
Yeah, but I'm not interested in show and tell.
Okay, you're not interested. Well, tough titties, bro. Listen, God is the only true nature of law, in my opinion. He is the one who.
You're just preaching. Yeah, we're not interested in preaching.
Okay, well.
I'm sorry, Danny. I didn't want to kick him because I was just loving watching.
Don't let me bully your live.
No,
people.
nigger, fuck your autistic friend, nigger. Apologize for his use of slurs. Don't even give it attention. That's how we mitigate it happening more moving forward. Anyways, no, I was just having fun watching you talk to him.
Then you're just a sadist or something. I'm
what's
suffering
up?
here.
Yo, what's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Are you a Christian?
Oh, no, I'm not, but I believe that there is like at least a creator. But I mean, I'm not like super religious, but like I was actually kind of curious to hear your standpoint at least.
Okay, I'm kind of looking to talk to Christians. I don't like care if you just believe in a creator. Like who does that hurt? You know what I mean? It hurts rationalism, I guess, but like, you know, like I don't care. I don't know. I like to talk about things with like real world impacts if that changes anything. Believe there's a creator. No harm, no foul. Hey, what's up, Mari? Are you a Christian?
Yeah. So like, what's gonna be the argument that the Christian God can't exist?
Okay. Well, I don't know. Where do we want to start?
Well, the Trinity's incoherent. The incarnation is.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if Dean cares too much about like theology when it comes to the Trinity. I just want to hear like his argument because he said that the Christian God is like, it's almost impossible for him to exist. So I want to hear that argument.
Well, sure. How about we start with the Trinity?
Yeah, I've explained to Dean my qualms with the Trinity, and he accepts them. Now, whether or not he can remember that 2 years ago, you know, but so
who am I arguing with? I mean, Danny, you've already
both of us.
Okay, so like, Dean,
currently Danny has the mic because I'm texting my girlfriend back. Danny will present the argument of the Trinity.
Danny, I don't understand why you want to talk about the Trinity. I just want.
Are you scared of Danny?
Well, it's not that I'm scared of Danny. I've talked to Danny multiple times. It's just the fact that like I don't know why he wants to talk about the Trinity. I mean, you
want to know why Christianity is false, right?
Yeah, it's because the Trinity is false, and the Trinity is essential to.
I mean, Danny, if I wanted to talk to you, bro, I could have just joined your live. I joined Dean's live, right? I want to talk to Dean.
No, I mean, like in all reality, this is Dean and Danny's live right now, and I have like a co-host up here. It's you know, it's a custom very similar to my co-host with Parker. Right. That it is actually both of our lives. I just happen to be the one on the big screen.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, let me hear your.
We don't have to do the Trinity. We can do the incarnation.
No, that's fine. I mean, I don't really mind. Go ahead, present your argument, Danny.
For which one? The incarnation or the Trinity?
Whichever one you think that makes Christianity impossible.
Okay. Does the Father have the power to become human?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. Is it that there's one God because the three persons share a divine nature?
Wait, can you repeat that? Somebody.
Is it that there's one God because three persons, Jesus the Father and the Holy Spirit, share a divine nature?
Are there one God? I mean, sure, yeah.
Okay, so I want everyone to take note of that. There's one God because there are three persons that share in the divine nature. All right, and you're saying the Father, okay, can become human. So suppose Jesus and the Father became human simultaneously. Okay,
do you know what I'm saying whenever I say that they're one God because they share the same nature? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
It doesn't matter. Okay, but
how does that not matter when that's the crux of the argument?
I'm going to present a formal problem, not all right. Basically, where it doesn't matter. Look, if I say, I'll explain to you what a formal problem is later. But
I know what a formal problem is.
Look here,
But
like
it
here,
seems
look.
like you don't under-
If I
it
say
seems like
A
you're already about
equals,
to go on the wrong
if I
path,
say
right?
A equals B and B equals C, but then I don't think A equals C, right? I've contradicted myself if I accept transitivity. Okay. Now you don't have to know what A, B, and C stand for.
Wait, why are we using numeric identity when it comes to the Trinity? You think we use
I'm
these
not saying we're using. No, I'm giving you what a formal problem is.
the law of transitivity applies to numeric identity. So what are you talking about?
You didn't understand why it didn't matter what you
He's giving you an example.
Right,
Well,
because
I mean-
remember, you asked me, do I know what you mean by divine nature, what it means to say that the person shared the divine nature?
Do you think Christians use numeric identity when it comes to the
Oh,
Trinity?
Mari, no, I'm not. Why do you think I said that?
Well,
Why do you
because-
think I gave the
because you're-
example of transitivity?
Because well, I don't know why. That's what I'm wondering.
I'm
because
trying
the law of
to. So
transitivity
I
applies
need
to
you to
numeric
listen.
identity.
I gave the transitivity identity as an example of why it doesn't matter what you mean by divine nature. Okay, because you can show that there are logical problems without even knowing what they mean by the language in the case.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Sure, whatever.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on. So now you said that there was one God in virtue of the three persons sharing or possessing one nature. Now, if the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit all decided to become incarnate, all decided to take on the human nature, do they share the human nature?
I guess. I don't know what that would look like. I don't really know. But does that
What do
really
you mean?
matter?
You know what? Jesus looked like something to the disciples, right? So then the Father would look like something, right? You know what I mean by human, right? You understand what it means for
Obviously,
Jesus.
but why again? Why does that matter?
Okay, so now you're saying the three persons share the human nature in that hypothetical. Now, how many humans are there?
Wait, when did I ever say they share? Oh, look, can I ask you how many? How that question matters? I already told you I don't know what that would look like.
I'll explain why it matters after you answer the question. How many humans are
That's a good one. I like that.
Again, when you ask the question, how many humans are there? See, you're already making the mistake that I told you were making earlier that you were denying that you were making.
Answer the question, Marty.
You're using numeric identity when it comes to the Trinity. So
you just answer the question?
You act like you weren't using numeric identity, and so you told me you wasn't. Then I press you on it, and you're asking me this question that applies to numeric identity, and say, "Oh,
That's great." Now, how many humans would there be if the person shared one human nature?
I don't know. Because
You don't know?
You
You don't know how to
use
count?
numeric identity when it comes to the Trinity. That's why.
I didn't say anything about numeric identity.
That's what you think. Okay, whatever.
So you don't know. If you don't know, you should come back and tell us when you're done. Okay, when you're done thinking about it. Okay, because let me just give you.
He left.
Let me
he
give
left. He left.
Okay, let me give the argument to everyone so that everyone understands it's not that hard to show the Trinity. It makes no sense. Look, they want to say there's one God because there are three persons that share in the one nature. But if all the persons became human and they share in the one human essence or human nature, there'd be three humans. So there's an inconsistency in how they're counting.
I feel like we've gotten a lot of the philosophy bros. Chad, how are you enjoying this shit? Is it like you wanna watch these arguments? Once again, we're just kind of fooling and fucking around today because the main account got banned and I probably won't get that back. You like it? You're not? I'm scared, slightly confusing. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that have come up so far have been like the debate bros, that kind of have their hyper niche sub communities somewhere hidden away on a TikTok live with 30 viewers, and it's not as easy to follow because they like to use words that are complicated to obfuscate away from their horrendous points. You know what I mean? Chat?
General positive feedback, and the ones that probably don't like it are the Christians, probably.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate, for all my Democrat Christians in here, I have nothing against you. I just respectfully disagree. You know what I mean? I only hold something against Christians that generate harm with it. How about that?
Your main account got banned?
Live banned. I should specify.
Oh, okay. You doing all the necessary shit to get it back?
Yeah, I finally think I finally have a channel that I could get it back through. And it just sucks because it was doing so well today, and that's why TikTok takes it down. It's because it's like I have a video, massive blow up video. It's about to hit like 1 million views that I posted less than 5 hours ago. So that was like making the live crazy big. So TikTok automatically took it down. Hello, Mish. Are you a Christian?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
So first of all, I am 20. Just want to get that out of the way.
Nice. Are you a Christian?
So if you are looking to debate Christians, because I saw the topic that God isn't real, and I do think that the Christian God is real. I am not Christian, I am pagan though. I do not follow the Christian God, and I just honestly wanted to get your stance on the possible existence of God.
Wait, so you think that the Christian God exists? You just don't follow them?
Yeah.
Dude, that's like so horrendously fucked.
What?
So you're telling me that you believe that a God that is all good, all knowing, and perfect within their nature.
Oh no, I don't think any of that.
Desires. Then you don't believe in the Christian God.
Let me see if I understand you. You think most Christians call this God good, but he's not really good on your view, right? He might be even a lesser God. Some pagans even think that the Christian God is like a Loki. And so in that sense, you're against the Christian God. He's almost an imposter. But I don't know what, is that kind of, did you say you were a pagan?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that kind of how you think about the Christian God? Like it could be a Loki or something?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
That's pretty much it. I am personally, my personal belief is I don't like sitting here saying that anybody's personal experience in spirituality is incorrect. If someone sits here and tells me that they had a personal experience with a prayer towards Yahweh, I don't ever want to dismiss that personal experience, you know what I mean?
Why not?
What?
Why not? Like I feel like if someone told me that they had a personal experience praying towards like a terrorist god that wants you to kill everybody, and in this prayer the terrorist god responded and told them to bomb a school, like we'd want to dismiss that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying, like, I don't. If in my opinion, it's up to the people, and it's more so like. It's more so how you go about the prayer. Like me personally, I would say that I have personal experiences with the gods that I follow, with the Norse gods, and I don't like dismissing other experiences, no matter what that is followed.
When you watch like the Avengers, that's like a documentary or something. Is that kind of like how you see it, or no? Okay. Just curious.
No.
Well,
Yeah,
I
no.
appreciate you for coming up. We're just looking to talk to some Christians.
I want to say
Yeah,
something.
you're good.
Oh.
I'm a really big
I do want to
fan
say
of you.
something.
Thank you so much for having me up. I appreciate your talking to me.
I appreciate
But
you.
yeah,
Miss. You
I
said
want to say
Danny had
something
to
positive about pagans, and in fact, Nietzsche kind of made this point. The nice thing about pagans is that on these other monotheistic traditions, evil is like all our fault. Like it's because of humans, and we're the reason why the world is so bad. God doesn't get any blame. But at least with pagans, like evil is like might be our fault. It might be the God's fault. Like like I think that's way more fair, right? Like, and so if I ever had to believe in God, I'd probably be some kind of pagan.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I was wasting time, but thank you so much for having me up. Love you guys.
No worries. Is Parker live? I don't know. I'm kind of done with these debates.
Yeah, I get it. Thanks for having me on, though, Dean.
Yeah, dude, Danny, I appreciate you for coming up. It's been a long time.
Have a good one. Bye, everyone.
Good one. Danny's awesome. I used to talk to Danny like all the time, man, about theology. Like for those that don't know, before I got super big in politics, there for a while I did like a lot of theology debate. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But like I think I've definitely kind of found my purpose, and it's definitely in politics. I think that theology debate is mentally stimulating, and it helps you become a more well-rounded person in the sense that it gets you to engage critically with your rational beliefs about things that don't exist materially, which is like really it's a really good brain stretch. You know, it really helps helps your mental upkeep and can actually make you a much smarter person. Insofar as not what your thoughts are, but your thought processes and the critical thinking skills that you have when you're determining if something is true or false. So I guess that's kind of why I ran this live. I'd kind of missed it a little bit. Even with the one really annoying guest, it was like still an exorcism of critical thought processes. Does my philosophy major help with this? Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's about it for religion. I doubt that I'll do one of these lives again. Like, obviously, you know, there's a lot less people interested in them. They don't really like make the world better or worse to the same scale that very real political discussions will. But it was fun, if that makes any sense. Probably won't do much more of these. Maybe I will, like, moving forward. But I'd probably like want to organize them with people that are good faith and like B are pretty smart. If that makes any sense. I feel like those are like the two criteria that I want to see met if I was to like do this again. You know, and it'd probably be a little bit more formal too. Kind of something like what I did with Brooks, if that makes any sense, if anyone remembers that. Going modern day debate. Yeah, I need to start making my rounds on like, you know, MMD, the Crucible, etc. I probably won't go to the Crucible. I don't like Andrew Wilson. Okay. How do I get you to debate my high school theology teacher? Send him up on the live. Let's go. Dean's become invite only. What does that mean? Bro, it's light out for you? Yeah, we still have some light out. It's like what, 4:30 where I'm in? Sun doesn't go down for like another 30 minutes. Would I do another Jubilee video? Of course I would do another Jubilee video. That sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe, okay, I really have to use a bathroom. I honestly should have just done that while Danny was up here and told him to take the ropes. I honestly think I'm gonna hop off. But like, I don't know, today's been a weird day. Like, I feel like I could keep doing it. I don't really have much more to do. I might honestly go live again on this account in like 20, 30 minutes and do a Q&A. I have a Friendsgiving tonight, so I gotta be at a restaurant at 7:30. But it's only like 4:30. And I'm having fun. What if I just like stayed live until 7? You know what I mean? I'm gonna go out, get some food now, go get a burger, hop in the shower, you know, set my outfit out. We could just kind of like hang out. Like, it doesn't even need to be a Q&A. We could have friends up. We could just talk and chill. Sounds like fun. Yeah. All right. I love you guys. I actually really want to do that. Okay, I'm gonna go get my burger. I'll be back in like 30. Hell yeah. Peace out, guys. See you soon.